やべえな、ほんとこれな。お、変わってる。世界大会の。あ、てか今ちょうどやってるかも。うん。だからそれをやめてほしいんだ、月ちゃん。誰か開けた？ 回ダメだって聞いてましたこれ。ん？あ、もうちょっと対面が弱すぎる。ああ、武器チェンできなかったな今。いやー、それはちょっと待って、これじゃまずいな、何もできねえ。これジャンプでやってどうなるかやってみるか。 キャンディーを収集。なるほど。複数のマッチだからダメか。あ、くそ。ダメだな。武器チが難しい。もはやこれじゃねえのかな。ちょっと待って。危ねえ。あれ待って、俺プライベートで入っちゃったこれ。パブリック。
Miro, he's down and out on high ground as well. Trulex and Chicho set up for success. So we're already looking at a very big game. Remember, with just 5 in front of us, a huge performance is really all it takes to give you the leg up, put you in the spot to walk away straight to Sunday and not have an early day of competition tomorrow.
But here's a little early glimpse into the leaderboard so far in match number 1. And Thomas, Malabuka, they seem to be leading the charge. And with Ping and Kyrie having just been freshly eliminated there, this is a moment we saw Malabuka and Thomas looking to see as though they might try to work their way up through that secondary height layer. But as far as Merstash and Payson are concerned, they know they've got teams surrounding them every which way. Right now, it's about picking the right direction to go. And a lot of these teams trying to avoid some of the water that's just on side of this zone.
NA just has a few teams alive. Acorn and Cold being one of them. Baka and Pars. Cooper is up still too. Meanwhile, Queasy and Vino, some of EU's best on the move right now. Crashbats perfectly putting them in position right now. But Snazy and Pawdaside fall on this rotate here. A very tough time for them. Indeed, Queasy playing for high ground right now. This is what we love about Queasy, but no, someone's gonna shut that dream down. All the material commit there put to waste as now they've been crushed there, but here comes Vino to go in and reconnect it. High ground is theirs here.
King, meanwhile, on the opposite end of the spectrum, as a solo forced into the water, swimming through this ultimate low ground, hoping that he doesn't encounter anybody else anytime soon, but it's gonna be mixing off to his side, not able to connect the shot, swims directly underneath a duo, and it's gonna be an opportunity for Strokey to possibly get knocked. No, instead it's gonna be King under pressure, and it's too much. The elimination onto the Brazilian King.
Yeah, the comms come out, they say, wait, there's someone under here. Come down, support me, and with no hesitation, there was for Strokey and Kylie just coming on in, getting the full finish there. Here's Pars and Baka. Baka so hurt, but 6 eliminations, my gosh. They are doing it again. They did it at the Invitational. They're doing it at the championship so far. Remember, this is gonna be arguably the most difficult bracket to fight your way out of. It is, of course, the 50 best that played through their respective times of those seasons throughout this entire year.
But look up, it's Queasy, it's Venno. They get chopped momentarily by Merstash, but it's still not seeming to deter them from maintaining control of this high ground. Merstash now hoping that this legendary Slurp Juice is going to buy him enough time to get out of this difficult position that he's landed into with Payson and Cole. Meanwhile, backside of the zone, trying to charge his way forward, looking to stay as close to Acorn as possible, because as things continue to move, you expect all these other duos to follow suit. And Alex gonna eat a shot immediately, a limb.
Meanwhile, high ground goes for a fight here. Merstash and Tayson trying to take it all away. They take down OCE's power. Alex as well there. Big find for him. But no, they have to conclude. They have to concede it. They give it down. Queasy puts up the fight against Tayson and puts him down as well. No material left for the high ground team. A very tough spot to be in, but it's all or nothing now. The end game is already theirs. This is surely a successful run already. Re is still up too.
But they just need barely enough builds to actually connect it to the hill over this water where everyone else is trying to deal with it. Reet, though, alongside Ritual, everything in his power here, gets the elimination onto Acorn. It looks as though Queasy may have fallen in the feed as well.
What a big trade here. Just a couple players left now. This is it. Vino solo here, but he does have builds. The clutch is possible. He's also one of the healthiest here on the lobby. But Strokey doesn't have much to work with. He also can't get up and over. It's going to come down to the siphon of whether or not he can get the conclusion, and Vino does. But get it here. Finds for Strokey in the finish, and Vino wins the game.
This is starting to look pretty familiar, Monster. Queasy and Venno striking first in game number 1 of the Global Championship.
What a way to do it as well. Explosive fashion, in historic fashion. You know, they are a team that should be racking up wins, and they're doing just that. Lucky for us, we have Frankie there for the word.
Yes, I have run down to this booth. I knew exactly where you were sat, boys. This is exactly the start you were looking for. So stand up so Copenhagen can see you. Come on, Queasy. Venno, what's it like to win the first victory royale of the Global Championship? Because I know that Major 3 was a bit of a tough time for you.
It's standard for us, it's standard. You know, every year, we always got to win first game. We always got to have some victory royales. And, you know, we just got to do what we got to do.
Is it nice to be back in the same space on land together? Does that help in game?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, from last year, we came here to finish the story, and we'll see how it goes.
How are you making Season 4 work for you?
I think we're well prepared. We try to hide everything that we could, and we'll see in the finals.
So tell me about that final fight then, because it was an EU number. You know your opponents quite well. Why do you think you were able to get the upper hand?
I mean, you know, we had Thomas and Malibuga come up on high, and we put them down, thanks to Queasy and myself. And then, you know, I clutched out as a solo. You know, it's just standard, and I can't really say anything more, you know?
Well, you don't want to tell everyone in Copenhagen that you took down the Danish boy Thomas. So you're not scared that you're going to become a villain here?
You know, well, I think we came in on our villain arc. And because we came second, you know? We want to show the rivalry's over.
But it's not, is it?
I mean, we'll see. I'm looking at them now.
Well, you guys fix your eyes on each other and get ready to board the battle bus again as we head back to the desk. Congratulations, Queasy and Vino.
There you go. Global Championships kicks off. And what do we expect? Not quite this. I wasn't sure if it was going to be Queasy and Veno. To be honest, there were so many names, right? But of course, Queasy and Veno say, Zeke, hold on a minute. This is us. I love that he kind of calls out, we're on our villain arc. Yeah. I agree. I think these guys want and have so much to prove. In the year they've had, right? That second place to us is amazing. Wow, second place, life-changing amount of money. To them, it was a loss. Now they are coming back stronger than ever, and they want the W.
Yeah, these guys are winners, right? They see second as the same as 50th. It doesn't matter to them whether anyone else is taking that crown, because they want it to be them. They want to make sure they can do it, and I really, really like the way they played that end game. Beautiful stuff from them. Just typical Queasy Veno stuff. They're on high ground. They got to that front side of zone, cranked up, actually fell down at the beginning of that end game, which kind of threw them off a little bit, but no. They're used to that sort of situation, and that's exactly what they do best.
I do think that the zone pulled a little bit in their favor, but by zone 3, Queasy not only had a gold Twin Mag AR, a gold Sharp Tooth as well, 6 crash pads, but also had 2 mythic slurps. They were set for success from the get-go.
We see them, of course, get shot right there. That was the moment that kind of set them a little bit away, but no. Taking out Malibuga right there, that breacher shotgun, as you mentioned, Kelly, so good on height, just putting the pressure down and actually using those crash pads. Of course, we saw Queasy going down a little bit earlier here, but I think if I'm Queasy, I'm going to be so confident having Veno on my side because, I mean, just look at that. That's what he can do. Massive shots. If there's anyone you want clutching up as a solo, it's Veno. He's got the aim. He's got the game sense. He has the mechanics. And, of course, he's such a smart player. Just look at what it means to them. Getting off to a great start. What a start for them. They couldn't have wanted anything different.
Yeah, I mean, I think what we have seen so much about this duo is it really doesn't matter what situation they get put in. A lot of times we do kind of see this happen. One or the other is left alive, but what both do together is they're setting the other up. So it's like, even if one of us falls, it doesn't matter. I've set you up. You have everything you need. Go make something happen. Now, of course, in this situation, Final 3, Veno's like, got you right where I want you.
Yeah, the players that they were going up against, too, were incredible players. And so still to be able to do that as a solo player like Vino just did just shows how confident and calm he can be, but also very excited, too. But, I mean, if we're talking about Queasy and Vino, we got to talk about the other side of the coin, right? Seti and Cammy going down early, just like Levin showed us.
Yeah, really rough start for those guys. A start they definitely wouldn't have wanted. I was saying at the beginning of the show, they were practicing their drop spots. They were looking good, but unfortunately, things can change. Bus paths can change, of course. The environments can change. You never know what can happen. And of course, when you're fighting against a team that isn't on your home region, usually, things can be different. Teams have different playstyles that you cannot possibly prepare for. So if there's anything we know about Cammy and Seti, when they do make it off spawn, I'm sure in the next games in the future, they'll be absolutely fine. It's just getting to that end game for them might be a problem.
Yeah, and this is just the first game, right? Obviously, with only 5, which is usually the typical 6, we don't want to be making mistakes like this, but they still have 4 more to make something happen. Now, of course, a couple other duos we wanted to highlight for you guys. Thomas HD and Malabuka. Again, like, as we talk about names, you're just going to be like, yeah, nah, I forgot about them. I mean, I know they're here. The top 8 is great, but looking to perform here as well. And a pretty good showing in game number 1.
Yeah, not a bad showing at all. I mean, we saw it in game in the first little off-spawn battle right there. What a time to do. What a way to kick off the weekend, right? Thomas HD managing to win out off-spawn. It wasn't even Thomas, actually, that clutched it up. It was, of course, Malabuka who managed to pick up this assault rifle off-spawn. Really, really great for him, actually, because he just found that little bit of high ground there at the end. I really like the way he used the reboot ban to block as much shots as possible. And then this little hut, managing to find that high ground and then finally take out Canada. What a start for this duo. And we know how the rest of the game went. Solid game for them as well.
Although it did go down to a 1v1, and I think a lot of people may have been expecting Malabuka and Thomas HD kind of just take it so soundedly, and I think that they might be taking it a little bit easier in these next few games just because of how close it was. You saw Kanata trying to grab height right there, and you were right that Malabuka was able to use that reboot van to his advantage. But if Kanata just got a little bit closer, a little bit sooner, it could have been a bit of a disaster for Malabuka.
Can't forget, of course, they had that Rift Island as well. Of course, it was a south playing zone. They know where the spawns are, just outside of that racetrack area. There's not actually too many spawns down in that sort of southeast area, so they were actually able to sort of predict where it was going to be, and they managed to get on there uncontested completely. Nobody wanted to go for it. First game of an in-person event. Who has the guts to go for the island? It's these guys.
Yeah, and of course, the crowd did lose it when we saw that happen, but here we go. A look at our standings. Now, please remember, we have another 4 games to go, but right now, as it stands, Queasy and Veno, after that victory royale and the 7 eliminations, they hold down that number 1 spot. But look at a couple of names here, right? Reet and Ritual. I mean, 76 points off of the back of 5 eliminations as well. There's no double digits yet in this top 10, but to just kind of see this list of names, man, this is wild.
Yeah, another team there as well. Kylie Farsroki in 3rd place. They actually land sort of towards the area in that sort of steamy strings area, so the zone was definitely in their favor. But in a 5-game format, if you can get that first zone under your belt, get those points on the board early, that's a really, really great start for those guys. Because remember, they qualified through the last chance major, so they want to try and put on... they didn't qualify. Sorry, major number 3. That's tomorrow. They qualified to major number 3, so they left it to the last. That's one of those teams that want to get off to a good start here to try and boost their confidence and make sure that they can make it through to Sunday.
Man, I do want to give some shout-outs to Reet and Ritual. I know I always take the chance when I get the opportunity to.
Yeah, you go ahead.
But
that's why I said it.
I mean, Reet has just evolved as a player from the last 2 years. He used to be the W key king to the point where you couldn't really contain him. But around zone 3 or 4, you saw him playing patiently. They towered up pretty early on, able to get those Storm Surge tags. And it wasn't until towards the end game that Reet really popped off and grabbed a few eliminations. They're not really a placement player. And to see him get that 2nd place spot or 3rd place and eliminations as well, I mean, I'm just proud to see him evolve as a player.
It was really difficult down those lower layers as well. I remember that end zone. It was all over water. It was an absolute mess. I saw King there swimming through.
Like a shark.
Like a shark down below,
So
trying
crazy.
to scoop up some loot. Of course, he ended up getting taken out. But those are the difficult times. If you don't have those materials, you don't have those refreshes. When you have the fragging power of Reet, that's where those refreshes come into play, because you need those builds in that water zone.
Some would say those Reet freshes. Anyway, let's go back to the leaderboard. Let's talk about more. Just seek things.
It's a Zeke thing.
Another duo we kind of highlighted at the start of the show in 6th place. You can see Cold and Acorn, right? They did manage to find themselves the 5 eliminations, but they're maybe lacking a little bit on those placements. Now, I feel like for me, rather than kind of like go through all these duos and kind of talk about everybody, I kind of want to talk about what we saw in that game. Mad congested, right? There was, toward the end game, almost no one had materials, right? Everyone's doing the same thing. We are trying to go on the defensive. We don't want to make a mistake here in game number 1.
Well, that's due to the fact that this is a low mobility meta. Besides the rocket ramp, so these players, instead of being able to kind of just use these mobility items to rotate around the map, they're going to have to tarp up. They're going to have to protect themselves as they rotate all the way to that far southeastern side. So it does kind of benefit the teams that are closer there, or the teams we did see a few players using rocket rams in there, or at least having them in their loadout just in case. But this is going to be a difficult meta. It did start in Major 3, so a lot of these players are already used to it, but still, utilizing your mats when you can is definitely going to be a big part.
And you mentioned them there, Acorn and Cold in 6th place. They made it to that end game because of their off spawn. And initially, we were thinking, right, these guys have been contesting Pink and Vico. That's been the storyline for the whole time. But it seems like they actually switched drop here, and they actually ended up going towards iDrop and Mappy in that sort of central area where all those caravans are. They actually switched their drop. Last minute, they thought, yeah, let's just try and land on this team, and it worked out for them. So that just shows how those little decisions like that, switching the drop spot at the last moment, can make a big difference.
And it did make a big difference. We saw earlier on in the game that Acorn and Cold had 12 splashes on just one player. And again, using those rotations, that's pretty much one of the only mobility items in the game besides the launch pads and then, of course, the mini crash pads as well. I mean, they definitely seem to have used that change in drop spot, which isn't something we typically see on this caliber, really well. And another team that I want to talk about just by the leaderboard that we saw is Thomas HD and Malabuka. You can see through their placement points that they didn't get that many placement points, but the 15 points from the Rift Island made up the difference.
Those mid-match objectives will make or break some duos. Now, at the start of the show, we talked about Kaysen, the online GOAT, looking to make that LAN title kind of all-encompassing just GOAT status, paired up with Merstash after this game, right? This was a pretty decent start, right? And again, like, we have to kind of be mindful that, remember, there's 6 regions, it's just game 1, there's a lot of jitters. After game 2, what can we see them adapt or change that might make this game 2 crazier for them?
I mean, we saw them go for height there. We saw them pre-popping those slurves. You see it at this moment right here, Merstash, to try to look up at Queasy and Veno to go for that high ground. Tayson, unfortunately, getting taken out. So, of course, this was a difficult situation for them. Didn't quite have the builds to make it happen. And that can be the problem. If you're cranking up on that backside of zone, you're expending so many materials. And if you're going up against a great height team like Queasy and Veno, that's where things can get difficult. But a really great start from this duo. Of course, landing at the north side of Slappy Shores. We saw them getting those surge tanks really, really early. Massive base that they seemingly build every single game they go there. All those extra heals, it got them to that end game. And they just need to keep that consistency, because if they keep it up, they're going to do good.
And I think what helped them too is that they were holding second high or in that mid ground really well, where a lot of people, a lot of the top teams were kind of fighting for that high ground, or they were in the depths of the water below. So by being aware, situationally aware of where all the other teams are and taking that advantageous position in the mid ground definitely helped them.
For sure. Now, of course, that crazy moment in the victory royale was wild, but we have the ability to listen in on the players. So let's relive this moment, but from Vino's perspective.
Dead. Nice. Dead. 200 dead. I got it. I'm coming up. I have mass. Siphon. Crash betting. I'm rocking. Okay. Oh yeah, I'm dead probably. I'm dead. Top four. All duos. Land on. Nice. Corner. Nice. I'm stacked. Yeah. 2v2. Or two, one solo and a duo. Top three. You have Madness. Play Madness top 2. Play Madness top 2. Trust. I'll let you know if he gets knocked. I got him. I knocked him. Yeah. 1v1. You're good.
That's kind of nuts, right? I love that Veno is able to just focus, right? It's just about, just let me rock my mechanics, right? Just tell me where to look, tell me what to do, and then just let me execute upon that. Queasy just so calm, right? He's like obviously there is a bit of chaos in the moment, but Queasy just listen, just grab this. You're fine. Trust, you've got this.
And that's such a skill as well. I feel like not many people talk about it. When you are down and your teammate is solo clutching like that, the comms that you give are so vital. You can see Queasy just making sure that he is giving the absolute perfect comms, what he needs to know. Maybe he might have missed something. Maybe it's his heals. Maybe it's his materials. But Veno's like, okay, let me cook. Just give me the ingredients that I need.
And part of the reason he cooked there was that rocket ram, using it to go straight up into the air. See where the rest of the remaining lobby is. Land down immediately and get that incredible shot. That's why we're seeing them in first place right now. 93 points to start off the day. A pretty decent lead relative to the rest of the lobby here.
And, you know, I don't want to say necessarily bravery, but to use that rock ram in that situation almost is like...
It's risky.
It's risky, right? Mad, high risk, high reward, but for him, he makes it work. Here's a look at our top 20 duos as it stands just after game number 1. Remember, 4 more to go. We had highlighted Cooper and Mira, though, in the 16th place at the top of the show. as well as Alex and Worthy? Or is there maybe a duo standing on these top 20 that stand out to you guys?
I think for me, it's Gripey and Flixie. These guys land at Mega City, so you would maybe expect them to have a little bit of a better game right there, sat in 19th place. When the zone does pull towards you, especially at Mega City, you can just sit on those towers, on those buildings, and try and farm Storm Surge. I think they might have struggled with that a little bit because, of course, so many teams are rotating in, but it might be a little bit too late. You almost need to rotate out, get that Storm Surge, try and get back on that high ground at the right moment. And from what I've seen from those guys, they're doing that so well previously. Maybe a few spanners in the works have been a little bit more difficult for them because they needed to try and find those refreshes, and that water zone definitely didn't help either.
I mean, I was looking at the top of that page 2 right there, and Alex and Worthy representing the OCE region a good job after game number 1 there. And I know that a lot of people tend to think that these competitions are going to be, you know, oh, EU and then maybe NA, but a lot of these, you know, smaller regions showing up right from the get-go.
And it's about making a statement in this first day, right? Remember, first 5, top 25 go on to grand finals on Sunday. So the job's not done, but it's about making those statements. It's about saying, regardless of what we do, if you see us in grand finals, you know what to expect from us.
Yeah, and I think you saw that in the reaction from Queasy and Benno, right? They were hyped. Like, they were happy. You got to be happy at winning first game of day 1 of the Global Championships, but they weren't too happy. They didn't let their emotions get the better of them. They were very, very cool, calm, collected in that interview, and I think that's absolutely vital for them because they know it's a marathon. It's not a sprint.
Yeah, and speaking of a marathon, we saw Baka kind of going on a marathon throughout that game right there, grabbing so many eliminations, and part of that definitely has to be to that mythic MK7 that he had there. He was 600 damage above Storm Surge in the middle of the game, and by having that on your pocket, it's definitely going to be, you know, a bit more of a confidence boost leading into the end game.
Okay, so we've highlighted some duos. We talked about what we like. What did we maybe not like out of this first game? Are there things we're kind of hoping to see change going into these next 4? Because remember, this is it. You want to end the day in top 25.
Yeah, I think I want to see less water in the end zone next game. How about that?
Yeah.
Can we get a little less water, please? I want to see low ground teams starting to do good. I want to see Omzo rise. I want to see them starting to play their way through the mid and low ground layers. So, yeah, a little bit less water, Kelly. I think what about you?
And I always just prefer to see the zone change in different spots. I think that really makes by the zone pulling in southeast. So by showcasing, if they can get another VR, if it pulls all the way to the northwest, well, that's what makes them champions.
For sure, and I think I feel like we'd do an injustice, one could say, if we didn't talk about the X factor that wasn't part of this game, Amy and Seti, right? If they had been left alive, how different would this endgame have been?
I mean, who knows is the question, right? These guys, of course, Queasy and Benno are fantastic.
about the wins and the struggles too. Will it ever be enough for me? Don't you know it's win or impending doom? Take you down just like a sonic boom. Wanna live on in your memory. Is it right?
Just like that, we are right back in it with match number 2 of day 1 here of the upper bracket of the Global Championship. And again, Monster, you were just starting to touch on it, but some of these initial 50-50s, particularly that one down at Drift Ridge, not going the way that maybe some of these players might have expected.
And crazy, look at this, the 50-50 Stain and Datus landing directly on top of Seti and Cammy. Really looking to play upset here. Seti quite doesn't land perfectly inside. He doesn't get a weapon first, but Cammy does. Cammy does exactly what he needs to. Gets the finish here, gets the siphon as well. And it's all in his favor right now. Here comes the pressure.
But it's all up to Datus to keep the hopes of Asia alive here. They managed to win out game number 1. Seti, though, relatively low. We see Kanata as well, striking back for revenge there with a knock onto Malabuka. But the action here at Frenzy Fields, it's continuing to build as Datus now looking for a little bit of a wraparound just outside of this barn. Datus getting some nice shots. Seti will go down. Now it's just a 1v1 between Cammy and Datus.
Man, Datus really showing us what he is capable of. Coming second, the FNC has major things for the Asian region, but no, comes in and Cammy finishes the job. They strike back, but it's not over yet. Meanwhile, it looks like Kanata and Agers have also finished the deed on their side of the map. You got to think, look, Kylie Fastroki listening to what's happening here. So Cammy and Seti are not safe just yet. Meanwhile, North, Pars, Baka, coming out of the early game, they had 3 eliminations. So it wasn't just this team they finished. They had more to fight after this.
But it started with Pars and Baka getting that early duo elimination onto Misha and Teeny. And whether or not they can look for a repeat instance is all going to boil down to whether or not Baka and Pars really want to try and take a more aggressive push here.
We
Hollow
do
Whispers
have to bounce back, though. We absolutely have to look at a quick highlight here. Take a look at how Kanata, with the redemption shot here, opens up onto Malabuka. The greed was real. He finishes him off. And then Thomas HD in the distance. The shoes were changed. Put on the other foot here. They secure the slurp truck. Get the double angle, and Kanata aggressively slides on over to get the full finish. And now they have a chance to fight back here. We could be seeing both of them in Sunday finals.
If it wasn't for that slurp truck, things might have looked a little different there for Kanata, because I don't know if you noticed, but only 8 shots left in that twin mag. But again, now it's going to be Thomas and Malabuka who are left to sit and simmer, wait to see whether or not they can finalize things there in game 3.
Crazy to think, too. There's only 5 games, right? And all of a sudden now, 2 of our favorite duos, one from EU and NA, now have a chance here to really make a big deal and push their way up the standings. Really showing you that, hey, there's a limited number of opportunities, and you have to make the best of it. I told you, Fastroki and company might be coming on over, and look at this. They're here to play upset.
Cammy and Seti, they might have dealt with Stain and Datus at the beginning, but they still have plenty of work cut out for them. Fastroki, just slightly above Cammy for the time being. Cammy, though, doing a good job utilizing these builds. Some brick gonna be going out. Not enough yet for Fastroki to feel comfortable. And it's Cammy with that left side peek, a bit tough to try and work with.
Seti watching the side angle here, seeing if he can take advantage of any opening, cracking the armor here. But Fastroki putting the pressure on, starting to run low on ammunition here, so he will have to be careful or make a decision here to full commit. Instead, gets punished first, cutting right through the over shields and the additional shield pot there, so he's going to have to dig into it. Meanwhile, Kylie with the side angle, suppressed pistol, putting in good work here. We like the angles, but Seti clapping back. Ooh, another great angle. Cammy really hitting the tags when it matters right now.
That's tough for Kylie as well. I mean, he's really got to get up close and personal. That suppressed pistol going to be difficult to work with in comparison to that sharp tooth. But Cammy, Seti, they are not willing to budge. They are staying as close to each other as possible because they also want to make sure that they stay in contention of this capture point, not trying to let it go for free towards Kylie and for Storky. It seems for the time being they have successfully managed to push them off entirely. So it does look as though Cammy and Seti are going to buy themselves just enough time, and the capture point will be in their favor.
Meanwhile, Pink and Vico lurking nearby. They're contesting half of the split off of Acorn and Cold. Now, on the other side, Slappy Shores, Tayson, and Merstash. Here's the team that can truly take home the grand finals if they can make it there. Definitely a pick, indeed.
What a tower base, though, for Tayson. I mean, you got a couple of med miss waiting, ample amounts of shield potions, including a couple of big shield potions. So for Tayson, his sole responsibility for the time being is just to establish as much surge damage control as possible. And it looks as though the Limpy tells a different story, or actually a same story if you're Pars and Baka. Because for the time being, Teeny at least, no longer in the lobby.
Yeah, Pars and Baka turned online now and get the finish onto Teeny. There it is. So the full finish onto Misha and Teeny, both sent back to the lobby. Meanwhile, there is another duo lurking from above, Chubbs and Bryce, looking on down, trying to see what they can do to influence this exchange here. Can they find tags to go ahead and put themselves in a successful position? So far, so good, but these are absolutely important exchanges here. And listen, Pars and Baka, man, you got to give them some respect, dude. When it comes down to performing, you would have thought at the Invitational, hey, look, we don't have LAN experience. What's going to happen? Nope. They are here showing that they didn't need it. And they're even better than the last time we saw them.
Don't really need LAN experience if you can just trust your instincts as a player. And that seems to be exactly the mentality here for Pars. Just breaking through Teeny's builds. Teeny, absolutely no hell to work with in that circumstance. But it's a nice establishing point there, because now that is 2 games back-to-back. That's going to start to pose a real issue here, because again, Monster, it's only 5 games, and for Misha and Teeny to be knocked so early on, they've got some ground to really make up for at this point.
A lot of ground to make up. Recover to be made here, but Acorn, Cole looking good so far. Vibing out here, trying to see if he can farm some surge in a distance. Meanwhile, Ritual will find a knock onto Edgy. And Ritual, what a surprise from them. I did not expect them to have such standout performances, especially with such a strong game one, and then an even better start to their game 2 so far. There's Jamon and Yuma. Very, very interesting duo right here.
Just kind of floating around for the time being. Just waiting to determine which direction. It seems as though they're just gonna build a little bit further into this jungle biome. And Yuma, Neymon, doesn't seem as though they have any other incentive for the time being as far as aggression is concerned, but might be having to pick things up a little bit, as again, we did see some teams struggling a bit in game number 1 as far as that surge damage threshold was concerned.
Yeah, for Strokey and Kylie, definitely not going to have a problem with that right now. One of the few teams with an elimination right now. Already making a move deep into the outskirts here as they see there's a potential cache left behind. So just trying to secure what they can. Brick needed, metal needed. So very important for them to get their rotation loop route down snappy here, as the zone will be pushing in pretty quickly. On the other side, Pink and Vico from the Frenzy Farms now up to a high ground position here. Opting to go for trades, and oh, what a dirty angle there for Vico. Those are extremely important onto teams inside the megacity.
But again, we see some of the action that's been unfolding here so far, but we've got Levin to give us even more.
Thank you very much, Taco. Look, we just saw Pink and Vika there on the screen. We've seen Acorn and Cold in this game as well. Coming into this game, both these teams in the top 10. If you know anything about me, I like to see action. I like to see fighting. And I thought these two were going to be fighting. And even Pink himself said, look, we might have to fight them. There's not enough loot in this area for both of us to share. But they're somehow making it work. So far in game one, both of them, they're making things so scrappy. Every single bit of loot they can get, they're going for. And somehow they're in the top 10. If they can continue, I expect both of these teams to quarrel. But when it comes time to grand finals, I don't expect them to be friendly anymore. I'm thinking if they can both qualify, that's when we're going to start to see some action for them.
That's an excellent point. It's one thing to make your way through a top 25 being the, you know, the hurdle to overcome. That's a pretty low barrier for some of these top-tier competitors. But when you get to finals, you know, it's going to be a lot harder now as number one is all that matters for the best of the best.
That's got to be every duo for themselves at that point, and Pink especially.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to consider what he even mentioned in one of the pre-show videos that we saw. Cap Metal is so important for him, and you have to expect that at his split drop, he is not trying to share by any means with anyone else.
Well, take a look at this. Zagu and Peppo actually have finally found themselves in elimination. Last game taken out a lot earlier than they would have liked. So this is their chance to go ahead and bounce back, put some numbers on the board. And they have a very, very interesting strategy. They're actually healing Striker and getting as much surge as possible. What a unique position to be in, but also you have to be so smart to think like this. This is how, again, ahead Zagu and Peppo are.
But imagine being Striker. Your fate completely decided, just watching yourself benefit some of your competitors to the utmost extent.
And if you're a Fortnite like super nerd like I am, that right there, that was
genius.
That was so genius.
Worthy, meanwhile, he's got to get a different sort of strategy going. Decent span out here. Will get some nice shots onto Mustache. Actually tags him up all the way into his white HP, but still holding strong here. Worthy doesn't seem all that excited to give up this positioning that he's established just yet, and for good reason. It's a pretty nice aerial view.
Here's Gyros and Shari now. Great position here. Zone's already starting to hold more center than the last game, so this will be a very much different terrain than what we just saw in the last game. That's going to be probably a warm welcome for these Western teams that don't seem to get very lucky often. But as we know it, anything can, of course, happen here.
It's got to be so scary sliding over the ice just then. You're just hoping that no one's going to be able to catch sight of you, but Cooper, not sure he's even fully aware of the fact that Zagu and Peppo are based just a little bit more towards the interior of this jungle trench. Miro following suit behind Cooper. These teams trying to make sure they don't stray too far from each other, but still wanting to make sure of the fact that they are collecting the resources they need. Because we saw just how congested that last game was, especially with the way that zone was pulling so viciously over the water. So much of these teams were just getting trapped inside of that mid-layer territory.
Meanwhile, the Rift Island is going to start to formulate here, jumping just outside of Reet and Ritual's perspectives there. They can be the first to take a stab at it, and if they secure this, I mean, surely top 25 is locked in the bag, as they were in the 76-point threshold range of total points. So they can get a big 15 here with the Elans and some placement. They will be in the top 25. It could be done and dusted here, as there are only 5 games, but no, instead they say, hey, look, let's go for the full Rift, get straight to the top. No zipline for us. I don't know which was riskier, but it works out at the end there.
Able to juke out some of those distant shots in the air, and being the first ones to actually touch down on Rift Island does mean that they'll be the first to try and make use of those bonus objective points with the Capture Island point. But again, Reet and Ritual, I mean, who did we see last game on the Rift Island? It was Thomas and Malabuka. Well, guess what? They got eliminated super early by Kanata and Adrian, so now it doesn't seem as though there's anyone posing too much of a threat. But Baka and Pars, they've been fighting for as long as the game has started, it seems.
Yeah, it's still Chubb's team, too. Chubbs was looking at them before. It seems like he's given them a problem on the rotate into the zone. And look, at the cost of Bryce, because Bryce was fallen at some point or another as they've made their way to this position here.
But at this point, it almost seems as though Chubbs is just trying to waste Baka and Pars' time, trying to force them into expending some of their resources, some of their splashes and heals that they might not have wanted to let go of otherwise. And again, it's still early on.
Pars goes into the box. He's going for the full push. Baka's here to back him up. And this is what happens. You shake the hornet's nest and you might get stung. And luckily for him, he will escape somehow, some way. Barely sliding his way out the side there. Baka has a different goal in mind, though. He's going to go around the outskirts here. No stranger to the zone. Continues to play with it, but ouch. That surely wasn't a part of the strategy here as Chubbs 2 stood behind. Tough spot to be in now.
But look at Chubbs' builds. They're running incredibly low. He's actually going to forfeit that height positioning. But it's not like Baka and Pars have any idea, but now Chubbs seemingly under pressure from a team slightly further out. He still has to make his way in through the zone as a solo. Not sure if he'll find a reboot ban opportunity either this late in.
What a spot to be in now if you're Kanata and Agers. Even more pressure as they only scored 0 points in game number 1. The first team to be fully eliminated, but not humiliated. They do have a true chance now. Finding tags here now into Thoric and Bolts. Of course, some of NA's best there too. Very few can say they've wielded the pickaxe of champions, but hold up, jump in with Colleen Fastroki, who's already gotten an elimination. This is actually a full finish that they picked up, potentially onto Cammy. And now Seti is by himself. My, oh my, what a tough spot to be in for Cammy and Seti. Of course, didn't pull the luck of the draw game 1, and now game 2. Not going in their favor necessarily here. Could we be seeing them a lower bracket push?
It's the fact that Seti and Cammy already had to deal with one nuance at the start of match number 2.
Wait, no way he gets the save, right?
Seti going for it.
So
might
close.
make it to Cammy in time, but unfortunately the rocket ram speed just not enough. Having the reboot card though, talked about how difficult it can be to look for that reboot ban opportunity, but it might actually be the intention from Seti at this point, because it's a lot easier to make it into that end game if you have your duo with you.
That is right. Well, last game we saw Booga make it work as a solo with no threats. This time Seti says, no, I'm not going to end game by myself. He's going into the storm for a reboot. Let's see if it ends up working out. Meanwhile, Queasy and Vino continue to farm their surge tags here. Desperately in need, though. 145 damage above that. Protection is not going to be enough, not for long at least. They're recognizing the potential threat looming. Here comes the rotate though. Another sniper in hand here, so Vino really flexing and exercising his sniper play here. It's Kanata who's in front of him. They gotta be careful.
Vino though, taking his time with the approach, as you would expect. Have to keep in mind for as much of a fragger as he is. Oh no, it's trouble though for threats here. He's got a nice knock, it seems. Might be able to find the double finish, but still, Anon doing everything in his power to delay as long as he can, but this storm is so problematic. Threats trying to see if he can finish the job now onto Anon. He wants this refresh of materials from both Suns, and Anon bound to get something for his troubles at this point. Gold Sharp Tooth Pump. Primed and ready to go. That right side peek. And it was nearly a miss there for threats, but he will be able to capitalize. Close out. Another elimination secured here. And that's going to be Oshi taken down by NA.
If it wasn't for that overshield, he was done. He had 2 eliminations worth there. That's 100 HP in Siphon, and he ended with 86 health, by the way. Surely the map doesn't quite add up, so he needed a little more that we couldn't see if it was that overshield that kept him alive there. My gosh, how close that was. Well, for QND, Rapid here, Middle East, 2 of their finest here. It's time to get on into this new zone here. Long rotate to make, and it's going to be a tough one for them. Meanwhile, out of the top 5 here, only 3 duos remaining here in game 2 for Shoki and Kylie down, and Shari, Vision View down there. You can see on the right.
On the bright side, though, for Community and Rapid, did see them with that Storm Chaser augment, so that's definitely going to benefit them a decent amount. They continue to look for those rotations. Klonsky and Grolls, on the other hand, Circplants doing the job as far as getting some health and shield regen is concerned, but definitely still need to wait around, see if they can get more. But unfortunately, when you are this far below the damage threshold, 320, and then some to work with as far as damage is concerned, and that number only growing bigger.
Yeah, that's not enough. They need a lot more. Coming up quite short here. But I mean, hey, I like the strategy. Of course, these are going to continue to replenish. They can bounce back and forth, but at what speed can they stay alive here now? Trying to rock it out, trying to wait it out. There it is, really starting to run thin on time now. Eventually the math will catch up. One false move and they are down and out.
It seems as though they're really hoping that some of these other teams might just get elimed all of a sudden, because we have seen circumstances where teams might be relatively far behind on Surge, but Dean gets elimed and then the gap isn't as big as it initially seemed. But for Vico and Pink, they've got a whole nother mess to cover. Only 18 below damage threshold, so the pressure is definitely on right now, but it's on Pink.
Seti is the one who's going to clutch up here when it matters. And although he may have saved Cammy, unfortunately, it does seem like he has to continue to ride this one out. It was definitely worth it, though, because at the end of the day, they picked up eliminations, and he picks up 2 more now, putting up at 4 here. So this is still a game that's worthy of earning at least some points, right? Remember, at a very, very early finish in game number 1.
If there's anybody that knows how to play the low ground, it's definitely going to be Seti as well. So Tark being through as a solo, while difficult, isn't necessarily impossible. But man, with some of these teams that are looming just outside of where he's currently situated, it is going to be tough. And Taysom Merstash, they're going to be crossing just next to Seti, and Seti, he's going to have to continue trying to play from that far backside of the zone.
And meanwhile, Alex still has the high ground there. Just for Hod, Hero, it's next door. Big shots going out, teams in the distance here, hoping to pull zone, but Hod and Hero put in the shots here. Man, Geras and Shari, 4 elim.
Geras and Shari definitely with the 4 eliminations so far. And they're just continuing to see if they can add even more to that number, because even with 4 eliminations, being only 13 above on that surge damage threshold just goes to show you how aggressive this lobby has been.
Definitely a close one there. Meanwhile, Reap finds another elimination there. Worthy, who had the high ground, gets knocked by Hero. Okay, so they must have over-peaked from their position, and now they've been taken down. That could be a potential huge swing. Could Middle East be winning game number 2? So far, they are setting themselves up surely to do so. Seti rotates across. Vino and Queasy already trying to do this. Back-to-back run, back-to-back number here. And look, Hero is trying to make their way up, but the resistance up top is Vino and Queasy.
If there's one thing that Queasy and Veno love to do, it is take height by that 8th zone. And it's something that they've done excellently throughout 2 games so far. But again, they still have to maintain it. Can't count your chicks before they hatch sort of mentality. As Kanata in the elimination feed seems to have found Podesai, Snazy as well. Seemingly as though NA definitely striking back.
Baka Par is still alive. Ritual still alive. Even Okis is up right now. Saw him mixed in the feed. Those are a few of the NA competitors that are up. I do wonder, where is Ziamzo? As he was also inside the top 10. If teams can continue to keep up that pacing there. But meanwhile, the story right now is how far can Seti push this here? That's it. Rocket Ram usage out. 45. Make that 49 damage above the surge now. Halfway through material. This is a tough spot to be in. Here's Ziamzo's look. Mid to high ground here. Moving all the way across. Beautifully done and clean execution on the rotate here. He actually takes down Middle Eastern's Hero there. So That was that second to high ground team, and now they just have to deal with Queasy and Vino. If they could do just that, they will be the kings of the top.
It's almost like dealing with a final boss at this point, as far as Queasy and Veno are concerned. But so long as they're in the match, teams are going to have to look out. Cole, though, with Acorn, doing an excellent job taking out Sphinx and Oyo. That's going to clear things up for them as far as these immediate threat players are concerned. Seti, though, again, the fact that he is still kicking, despite being a solo for so long here, MDF, what a fantastic display of his experience.
I just can't wait till we get another listen in later, because you know Cammy and Seti are putting down the comms needed here to navigate through this game so effortlessly, making it look easy. Meanwhile, on the low ground, here's Middle East. Fahad here, representing 4 elims right now. What a big spot to be in, showing us just how good they really are. And let's again not forget, this is the Global's best tier. Joining us for the upper bracket, you had to perform in the upper tier of the 50 to be here today. Kanata falls inside the top 16 there. Very far push for him, but not good enough.
Yamzo and Rise just doing such a great job leading the charge on the low ground at the front side of the zone. Just doing their best to cut off everybody that keeps trying to traverse into their territory. As now Yeman will meet the same fate as so many others so far. Seti, though, still managing to type his way through, but running so incredibly low, only has 8 builds, make that 6 left to his name, hoping that he can find a straggling refresh anywhere.
The one who's gonna find that refresh is Fahad. He finds Okus there straggling in the distance, but hold up, here's Reed. No ritual in sight by himself. We already seen him do it once. He clutches up, goes in and takes down Pars. Once friends, now enemies here on the stage. Meanwhile, Seti says, hold up, you want hype for free? Not when I'm in the lobby. Down goes Girus, and a quick trade there, but Shari comes to the rescue here for his teammate, and he is the new king of hype for a second, but Acorn Cold, representing for NA, not known for the big elims, but so far the placement point's exactly where you expect it to be. Here's Yamzo. Yamzo, clap from the side here. Rise left to do it by himself. He cannot flirt with the storm here. Acorn's clutching at the moment.
Acorn's trying to do what he can. He's got that auto Maven primed and ready, but at the same time, even with the Maven auto, he's not going to be able to miss a singular shot. He has hardly any HP to work with, and you consider the shield that he's missing. He's doing a great job so far. Just continuing by time. Only 1 build left, though. This next moment has to be his best. Clixie doesn't see it coming as Acorn finds the elimination he needs. Just enough builds to keep going up.
Absolutely clean elimination there. Shari now looking for it. They have 9 eliminations. Acorn goes all the way up. Needs to come on down. Knows where his opponent is, and he's looking for him. But the zone is ticking, gets right into it. He knows he's got a couple opportunities here. It's all or nothing now. 1 shot will be it, but no, it won't be enough. Still, though, 4 eliminations in a second place there. And Shari take home the second game now alongside Girus.
Seti nearly playing smartly there for Shari and Girus, but even with Seti having eliminated Girus, Shari doing a phenomenal job to clutch things up. And we've got Frankie standing by to get into their minds.
That was quite the performance. How did you feel in those final moments of that game?
Great.
And what was going through your mind? Because you had an American flying up into the air, getting the information of you, but you had the better health in the situation. How do you feel clutching in front of all of these people?
Amazing.
Amazing. That's a perfect word. Let me come over to you, Girus. What was it like watching Cherry in that situation?
Yeah, it was great. I mean, anyway, like in this final situations, I already knew we have so many points. We are already like basically qualified, so I was just chilling, and I believed in him. I knew he will win it.
I love this vote of confidence. We're basically qualified 2 games in. So are you already thinking about Sunday?
Not yet, but yeah, I mean, I think we are qualified, so let's like maybe keep focused on Sunday, right?
Absolutely, but also focus on the next 3 games, because obviously you want all of these duos to fear you. What sets you apart from the competition?
I think just good strategy, good communication in duo. Yeah, I think that's all.
Well, we definitely saw the strategy pay off. But congratulations on the victory, Roy. Our Girus and Cherry, everyone!
Man, oh man, to compete on this stage in and of itself is an honor. But to get a victory royale in a circumstance like this with a crowd this electric, that is something else.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, these guys land in that sort of area, so it was a very much a home zone for them, but they made it count. We've seen teams that haven't had that sort of zone luck, you could say, actually pop off, but these guys, they made it count when they did get the zone.
Yeah, and not only did they grab that victory royale, but they did it with double-digit eliminations. Yeah. I did not expect to see that so early on in the competition. They pretty much were grabbing eliminations as soon as the game started, and by zone 8, they had 4 eliminations, but they were able to kind of hold that low ground for so long and clean up the rest of the lobby. They deserve their VR.
It was a battle of solos there in the end as well. I think I saw 5 solos right there at the end, all battling it out. And that's what we love to see from this. It's solos clutching up on the big stage, and that's really, really not easy. So great job from Chari to make it happen.
Well, if we're going to talk about solos clutching up, then we got to talk about Seti.
Yeah,
my goodness.
Course.
From the start, I mean, we saw them go down early in game 1. We knew that they needed to do something a little different in game 2. We've got to watch their drop where they went for the window of that barn in Frenzy Fields, and it looked like they had a pretty easy 50-50 there, but Cammy did end up going down in that fight, and they were able to make it comeback against Datus and Stain. But then, not too much later, we saw Fastroki and Kylie trying to go for them as well. And if I'm not mistaken, I think Pink also was starting to try and make their way down, but then said, oh, wait, no, that's Seti and Cammy. I'm gonna turn around right now.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, we saw Seti in that end game. This was crazy. He tried to go for height. That was just solo. This guy's crazy.
He was like, you know, he's like an autopilot, like high ground. I mean, oh no.
I think
I'm on my own.
Honestly, I think it was a great play. I think that there was so much chaos going on in the low ground that they weren't expecting anyone to try and take high ground. Seti positioned himself just on the side. You can see that they weren't aware of that Seti was going to be coming in onto them and grabbing that one elimination. It did eventually lead to his, demise, but he was still able to grab 4 more points as well as kind of weaken the other players in the lobby.
Yeah, I did want to highlight a couple things for us. First, in that #1 spot, Reach and Ritual. Whoa!
That's the one.
I'll come back to him in just a second. But just as a reminder, Sherry and Giras, and I'm sorry if I'm Shari if I'm mispronouncing the names. I'll see myself
Shari.
out. I'm so sorry. I'll see myself
Can we get
out.
someone else on the desk?
Yeah, can we get Mini Minor, you take over.
Yeah.
Still, though, a huge victory royale from the duo, and I kind of just love the way they kind of play this, right? You can kind of tell, even just after these 2 games, these games are so hectic. They're not anything like the games we're used to seeing, right? A lot of these other regions, NA and E, which we typically broadcast, you can see, like, even though there's chaos, there's a lot of control, right? It's like, okay, well, I know we're going to do this, and we'll position ourselves. In these last 2 games, it's just chaos, right? Either no build or everyone's on mad low HP where everyone is one shot to the other. In this case, coming down to the 1v1, it is so hectic on this stage.
I mean, in this situation, we've talked about it almost seemingly all year. When Queasy and Veno aren't on height in that endgame, it's anybody's game. We saw Seti trying to spoil the party up there for Chari and Giras on height. He didn't quite do that, but he did take out one of them. And of course, that was Giras, so Chari had to solo clutch from high ground. Of course, that's what's going to win them these games. We're seeing it time and time again. High ground is going to win these teams the games. And because Queasy and Veno weren't there, the high ground was a lot more free.
It was indeed. But I do want to talk about the duo that we were looking at for just a moment there, Reet and Ritual.
Yeah, of course. Here we go, Kelly. All right.
Listen, all right. They're doing a very good job right now. That might be why they're in first place. And they're utilizing everything that competitive Fortnite has to offer, such as Rift Island, getting those 15 points. And that is actually what's going to be pushing them into that first place spot. But also, look at the placements. They are currently tied with Cold and Acorn, who are some of the most consistent players in the world.
Yeah, they definitely are. I mean, it was always a moment there where they were boxing up below that Rift Island. They were like, I mean, nobody's going up for it. Is anyone here? I guess that's our island. We'll take it. So that's what we like to see. I mean, yeah, that's what Reet's all about. He's one of those players that will play it smartly. Of course, we've seen so much aggression from them, even in this endgame. There are so many moments of that. I think this is what makes competitive Fortnite in person so great, is that when Reet makes these crazy plays hopping in the box, you can feel the energy. You can feel the crowd just go, wow. How has he gone about that? And that's what he's all about.
But we can't take Ritual. I mean, he's doing a great job as well. He actually had more eliminations than Reet there. He did go down, but you know Reet is not going to go down without a fight, even as a solo here, grabbing some much needed refreshes and being able to kind of bully the low ground here.
I love this playstyle, right? He's almost fearless. We actually saw something very similar from Baka and Pars in the last game, right? One of them dropping down to 1 HP, but it's the confidence. It's like, it doesn't matter what situation we're in. We just have to go for it. If we're eliminated, that's fine, but let's go for it. Now, making that work is wild. And I think, especially for him, he's someone that for a long time, especially when it was NA East, NA West, he kept saying things like, I want to go up against these other regions because I want to prove that I have what it takes to compete.
I mean, what a better place to do it, right? He's making the crowd happy. He's making us happy, making the team happy in first place spot as well. Right there at the end, we saw the player actually going for the med miss. He said, no, you're not having that med miss. I'm coming straight in there. And the reaction from the crowd was so cool at that moment.
And well, I already mentioned them, but Acorn and Cold also had a great performance as well. And I mean, I love to see NA on top, Minnie. What's going on?
I mean, NA on top here, this is a difficult one for them. But, you know, I like the way they've adapted their play style. And, of course, they're doing very, very well at the moment. We can see this going through in this later stage of the game. I think there was a moment in this end game where they were trying to look up for that high ground. Didn't quite happen for them. But these mid to low ground layers is what they're known for. It's what they did so great in Major #1. And as I said earlier, they've actually adapted their drop spot. Levin said it so well in that mid-game segment. We saw them actually going further away from Pink and Vico, which is something that I didn't expect to happen. I thought they'd just go for a full-on 50-50. It's day one. Why not? And of course, it's working out for them. And Acorn doing such a great job solo clutching. We've seen him do it before, and he's done it again.
Such a clean elimination there, and you know that they're feeling good going into game number 3 and 3rd spot. And at some point, I mean, looking at the points and kind of calculating it, maybe our top 3 have kind of already solidified themselves into grand finals. Obviously, crazy things can happen, right? I mean, we've seen our top teams be eliminated on drop, so that might not be solidified just yet, but still, they have to be feeling even more confident going into the next 3 games.
Absolutely. And, you know, we have thoughts and perspectives. We actually have Vivid standing by with community favorite Reddish. Viv, what's she have to say?
I told you guys I was going to be coming from the lounge throughout the weekend. This time around, we have Reddish joining us, a fantastic creator in the Fortnite space. And she told me that this is actually her first time experiencing an event as a fan. So tell us all, how has it been experiencing the Global Championship so far?
I've honestly been watching, I think, SPGs for the last 3 years, but as you said, first time watching from an audience. It feels incredible. I'm seated right next to...
Sorry, guys. Sorry. We actually have to go back to the desk, so we're going to toss it back to Zeke and the crew.
Don't worry. I will
the
find a way to talk with you soon. Don't you worry, Reddish. Don't you worry. Man, this has been such an incredible start to the day. The first 2 games of the Global Championships, especially in the upper bracket. Kelly, you said something that interested me. You talked about these top 3 and how they potentially might have already qualified, right?
Right.
What we saw kind of out of Queasy and Venda was they had this strong start. And it's like, okay, well, remember, top 25, what do those points look like? After one good game, a duo could very well just qualify, right? They might just need a good game with a couple VR, or a couple eliminations, rather, and it might be just enough.
I think for now, these teams that are in this sort of top 5, top 3, realistically, you have to think that they have got it in the bag. But as you mentioned, Z, anything can happen. They've got to keep their foot on the gas because not only is it really, really good to, of course, be at the top of the leaderboard, it's also really, really good practice. Really good to be in this environment. What are these other teams from these other regions going to do? Because who knows? Come Sunday, it could be anyone's game.
Well, we're talking about foot on the gas. We got to talk about Cammy and Seti there, going up 21 placements, obviously, going down early in game number 1. That's going to put them in the 2nd page of our lobby list. But we got to talk about Seti using the rocket ram once again. That seems to be where the utilization of this rocket ram is going. Launching high into the sky, seeing where the rest of the lobby is. I love this. And yes, by having the rocket ram, you see that a lot of these teams are foregoing that 3rd heal, which can be incredibly beneficial. But it just has so much more utilization than I think I initially thought.
And it just shows how good this duo are individually. We talk about them so often as Cammy and Seti as a collective, but we have to remember these guys are both incredibly talented players as solos. We've seen them in DreamHacks come 1st and 2nd, and they're just like a duo that have just decided to play in that solo event. So that's what we love to see from this duo, and I like to see the fact that we can have trust in Seti, trust in Cammy to clutch up in the big moments, because they're not going to be nervous.
And you know what else we have trust in? Queasy and Vino going for height.
Of course. If it's not them, it's the others. There's so much more.
Yep.
Now, I promised you an interview with Reddish. We're going back to Vivid in the Creator Lounge. Let's do this.
And we're back. Sorry about that, guys. I accidentally did too far of a mic drop earlier. I ended up breaking the microphone. But I'll introduce her again. It's going to be Reddish, a fantastic creator in the Fortnite scene. And like I was saying, this is actually her first time out at an event, being a fan. So let us all know how it has been experiencing the Global Championship.
It's been phenomenal. I was saying earlier, but you didn't hear that I've been watching every single FNCS for like the last 3 years, I think. But this is my first time watching from an audience. I couldn't make it to the US last time. And it's been crazy. I'm sitting right next to Gentlemates, the French people, and they go crazy every 2 minutes. The audience goes crazy. And also, I have to mention the first game as a GXR supporter was pretty wild. We had Malibuka win off spawn and claim the island, and then Queasy won. So it's been just amazing to watch as a fan and supporter and Fortnite lover. So, yep.
Yeah, awesome. I love the fact that you're kind of bringing up who's been doing well throughout the day. Of course, this is the upper bracket. We have 25 teams going directly into the finals after today. Give us a couple names that you think are going to be, towards the top of that leaderboard after the end of the day.
We still have a few games left, so I have a feeling almost everyone kind of still has a chance.
True.
But yeah, GXR on top. I hope Queasy and Malibuka will do it. Hopefully I didn't just jinx them. And I don't know, so many teams are doing amazing. We have Cold and Acorn, Pink and Vico, Seti and Kami, they're making a little comeback. So it's super exciting to see who's gonna make it in the end. But all of them are amazing and super talented at this video game.
Yeah, awesome. And for anybody that would love to check out your content, Reddish, let them know where they can find you.
Reddish on Twitch, or I'm Reddish on Twitter.
There it is. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you, Reddish, for the insight. And we're going to be tossing it back to the desk with Zeke and the crew.
Thank you so much. Reddish, you're fantastic as always. Now, as we kind of draw closer to the next game start, we kind of wanted to highlight a couple things. Really quickly, Miniminder, you kind of called this out for us, and I wanted to take an opportunity to talk about it. Zago and Peppleclip, they had a very interesting Storm Surge strategy in that last game.
Yeah, they did. And I think this just encapsulates what LAN events and global events are all about. We never know what these other smaller regions could be pulling out of the hat when it comes to strategy. And what I saw there in that end game was actually, or that mid game actually, I should say, Zago and Peppo actually got a knock. They were able to carry the body towards some of the slurp mushrooms, keep healing the player on those slurp mushrooms, which of course that benefits them because they can keep tagging up the player to get some more Storm Surge damage. We've seen Storm Surge have such a big impact so far in these first 2 games. And if you don't have enough damage, it's going to result in your elimination. That's what I really like to see from this. Those guys pulling out strategies I haven't seen before. Just keeping on healing up the player. I love it.
Leave it to Peppo and Zago to do that. And also leave it to Queasy and Vino, who had a pretty good strategy as well early on to get those Storm Surge tags. We actually saw a sniper on their loadout, which is not something that we typically see. People tend to go for the twin mag. And then they also had 2 different spots for their splashes there. So by having more, I think it was around 10 splashes, being able to not just heal, but also rotate quickly, which is part of the reason why we saw them be able to set themselves up for success towards the end game. And I say that as Queasy goes down, but still, being able to make it all the way there is going to get them those much needed placement points.
Yeah, trying to get Venom to clutch twice in a row, it's a bit harsh, isn't it? You can't do it again, surely. But no, I like to see that.
He's waiting until Sunday.
Yeah, he's waiting. He's putting it all in the tank. He brought it out in game 1. But no, not a bad game at all from this duo. We saw them trying to set up for what we're expected to see from them. Let's see if they can continue.
That's right. I'm excited to see game number 3. So let's kick it on over to our casters to take us in.
Thank you so much, Zeke. And that's right. Game number 3, nearly ready for these players to hop off the battle bus. But Monster, we've been seeing some pretty interesting things so far throughout the first 2 games. And hold that thought till the game, because the battle bus is good to go. Match number 3, right here.
All right, we heard you make some noise. It sounds like you are ready for game number 3. I am too. Remember, there are only 5 rounds of Fortnite here today, so this will officially solidify the halfway mark. To start things off, though, we have to begin here at the Frenzy Farms. Cammy, Seti versus Datus and Stain. We've seen this go either way. We know that Kylix is nearby as well. Kyrie here, so you got to be careful. Meanwhile, gets the weapon first. He's looking for the tag, and they're doing a great job. They actually have the left and rights here.
buying just a little bit of time here. He also, a couple of weapons at his disposal. Tactical DMR, Infiltrator pump as well. Stain trying to do his best to pressure from the bottom of this barn. It's going to be Stain actually eliminated first. A nice tag team appearance there from Cammy to get the backup necessary. And that's going to be Stain and Datas eliminated yet again so early on, MDF. And we're already in game 3.
Yeah, this time extremely quick. They secure the eliminations here. Meanwhile, 7 men in Cal Gamer versus King potentially unfolding here. I do know Kanata is battling as well. It seems like he was taken down and eliminated by a different duo. So we are already seeing a very huge miss-up. Meanwhile, King, he will show you why he is one of the best. Let's not forget what Cal Gamer had to say. He said himself that he does not believe King has what it takes. He thinks King is a bit overrated, but I beg to differ. We have seen what he can do in person. We have seen what he can do in just clean head-to-heads in a box fight type environment. He's incredible.
It's literally what King established his name on, was his prowess when it comes to box fight match opportunities. Here again, King looking for his chance take down Cal Gamer. Cal Gamer actually going to look for a brief retreat here, though, at the Relentless Retreat.
I like it.
Seems as though he wants to try and look for some better weaponry, or possibly even just looking for a different position altogether.
Yeah, upgrade would be important and massive there, especially since he's running out of material there. The shotgun. Meanwhile, Zagu, Peppo, they had the knock, but they didn't get the finish. That's going to be a big mess up. Big mistake, big opportunity lost, but Zagu finds another tag here. Meanwhile, looking for the big opener. Another one there. Okay, chipping away, but nothing significant this time.
That is massive, though, for Skits and Sora. That Skits was actually able to find that revive in the heat of it all. Is now Peppo, Zagu. A few Shieldbreaker EMPs. Curious to see what Zagu actually chooses to do with these. He's going to opt to try and maybe apply some more pressure onto Skits and Sora with them, or if he's just going to hold them for the time being. But Skits, now fully aware of the fact that Zagu is trying to break down his wall, continuing to replace build after build. Skits with the peak, Zagu with the damage taken. It's going to be Skits and Sora still looking to try and capitalize on this circumstance.
Now be careful, though, backing themselves up into an indestructible corner. And you can hear the crowd really starting to turn up right now.
Big augment, though, that was just picked up. That rarity check could go crazy, depending on how. I believe it was Skits that might have opted for it. Saw him, one of those common weapons. Zagu, back to full shield, though, but did have to expend both of those big pots, and this battle's taken quite some time. Business turret quickly taken out. Zagu tried to place there, his pressure on Skits.
Oh, I think he's going to be feeling really confident after that one, but Zagu now completely out of material here. He does have to be careful. His teammate finds a little bit too, so Peppo goes in, fully boxes up. It's all going to come down to hitting the shots, and he does. Zagu showing us why he is one of the best. Coming directly out of the region of Asia, representing all the way for Japan, and my oh my. Take a look now with Kylie and Fastroki. Man, they're just mixing things up.
Constant trades for the most part, but for Strokey and Kylie here at Stevie Springs, south side of the map seems to be working out relatively well for them so far, having that elimination already, and now that's going to alleviate a decent amount of pressure here for Strokey and Kylie. They don't necessarily need to fully push in just yet. They can really wait to see how they want to actually choose to try and reapproach here, but they're not the only team to mix things up a bit, as now Misha and Teeny just above Bryson Chubbs. And they might be looking for an opportunity to find an elim or two here.
This is pretty interesting because Teeny and Misha definitely have been having a tough time against Baka and Pars, but Bryson Chubbs have been jumping in that battle as well. It has been a three-way engagement here at the Shady Stilts and around. So Teeny and Misha trying to mix it up, saying, all right, what can we do different? How can we adapt here? Clearly, they made it to the upper bracket, right? But having a tough time so far. Might be looking like a Saturday appearance if they can't turn up and turn up soon.
Meanwhile, Miro might be stuck in an engagement up against Shari is, well, a forced retreat actually. Cooper, very accurate. Some of those twin mag shots. Miro leading the charge up against his solo. And it seems like it's only a matter of seconds before Shari is completely collapsed upon, doing everything in his power to try and stay alive just one moment longer to see if there's somewhere that he can build off to actually scurry away and escape. But Cooper and Miro, they are relentless. They refuse to let this opportunity go. And it's going to be another 4 points by the way of Elim as they finally close out on Shari.
You got to respect that right there. Cooper all the way with the initial opener and then the call out, setting up Miro for successes. He said, hey, look, they're one. Trust me. Miro with no hesitation jumps directly in there.
Things are looking pretty good, though, so far for Threats and Buga over at Sanguine Suites. It does seem as though they managed to get their way into the vault. That kind of Stinger SMG certainly going to come play a pretty big part there for Threats whenever they do decide to engage. And a few more battles later on. Clownsky and Grolls, though, a team that we really saw in quite the position last game. It was really their surge strategy that seemed to be a little bit lacking in game number 2. So now the mentality here for Grolls and Clownsky, if they want to find some points, want to work their way up even further on that leaderboard, just try and cement themselves into that top 25. But they've got to work through some other teams before they can find themselves there.
Yeah, and work through those crash pads as well. Having them work against them for a second there, so Clownsky couldn't unfortunately join Grolls on the push to the top, so cost them a fair bit there, but all in all, they have things under control.
A good height positioning, at least. That can definitely help a lot as far as establishing some surge damage is concerned. Meanwhile, inside of Rumble Ruins, you got Axe Force hiding inside of a bush, and a pretty common strategy as well for players, so look for those tag opportunities with some of that safety inside of the bush.
Yeah, now that single Elim right there is onto Cooper. I know we're just hyping up Miro and Cooper's big eliminations they picked up, but look, Miro's now by himself in the distance there, so Cooper caught off guard out in the open there and away from his teammate. Here we get to see Heroics Thomas and Malabuka. They are up, they are standing, which means they have survived the drop clearly, and they are working their way towards the grand finals here and now.
Massive stuff, though, from Malabuka and Thomas, given that they had to sit out for game number 2 because of Kanata and Ager.
Right.
So for them to be able to play makeup time now, just adding to their total point count for the day. Because again, we are in game 3 of 5. So this is, I think, technicality of a halfway mark for a lot of these teams, and this is where you can really start to see the consistency that needs to be maintained come into play.
Yeah, one might say this is the most important game of the tournament here. Between game 1 and game 3, I mean, either you set yourself up for success or you turn things around now and come out a victor. And by that, I just mean top 25, right? That is the goal today. And then, of course, Sunday, get as high as possible, make as much money, be the winner of that $1 million first place prize. Here we got Pink and Vico. I know we're hyping them up. Definitely a team that has had a lot of success. Although, again, playing off the scrappy drop, but look, they find themselves finally fighting Acorn and Cold.
True, but they had Calgamer and 7-Man also on the opposite end of them. It seemed as though they were kind of sandwiched in that position. So, might be a very tough circumstance for them to actually work around in as well. Here in the heart of Mega City, you got Flixie way up top on the building. Grippe seems as though they had a successful battle because Flixie, with 1 elimination, looked as if he just got the opportunity to revive Grippe there as well. But now, from this aerial point of view, opportunities to use these grind rails if necessary for a quicker rotation, but Mega City seems to be relatively safe for the time being. And the way Flixie keeps looking down leads me to believe that he's got some form of idea that Suns and Anon are the team directly below him.
Just outside of the mega city, King and Phaser Cam here. Very interesting. They've had a very long track from the relentless retreat till here. No elims just yet, but this is a perfect time to go ahead and catch up 11. So let's hear the word.
Thank you, Mon. So like you see, no elims. We obviously saw at the start of the day, Cal Gamer had a lot to say about Phaser and King's ability. He thought he weren't too good. And King said the same. He thinks they're not as good as they say they are. But these two teams have been going head to head, not for engagements, but still both teams looking to try and set up for fights where possible. We see them sort of pinching and peeking towards each other at times. And what's happening is that they're both disengaging, right? Neither team currently sit in that top 25. So one of these two teams is going to have to start to step it up if either of them are going to be making out of relentless retreat and making that vote useful.
Thanks so much, Levin, for that breakdown on whether or not it's going to be Cal Gamer 7-man or King and Phaser. That's going to be the team that finally breaks through from that initial drop spot engagement. But again, with teams just actively choosing to disengage, have to believe that part of that reason is because they don't want to risk being early eliminated in match 3. Acorn cold though. They've got some eliminations on the mind because they want Pink and Vico if they can find it. Cold now applying some pressure onto the backside here. Pink and Vico certain to have to keep an eye out for it. Cold though just continuing to move around some of these top tier builds. And Acorn, Cold, slight lull in the action. They try to make sure that their approach is as methodical as possible here at Frenzy Fields.
And of this duo here, the highlight player was definitely Acorn in match number 2, where he really went the distance in the end when it mattered. But I'm sure if he can do it one more time, it should be all but solidified inside that top 25. This has been a great showing so far. And again, contested. Half the loot he would expect, half of what he would really want. So to take out Pink and Vico, to send them back to the lobby, to not see them on Sunday would be excellent. They could make a run as grand champions.
But what's interesting is that at Frenzy, keep in mind, Cal Gamer and 7-man were there as well, but they weren't when we last checked in just now. So have to imagine that Cal Gamer 7-man recognizing, hey, this just isn't the type of engagement we want to take right now, just like iDrop as a solo, trying to see if he can gather anything from Rift Island. If he's able to get this capture point uncontested as a solo, that will be absolutely incredible.
Yeah, and you know, it's worth 15 points, so it's definitely the position you want to jockey for. Not a single other team has decided that they want to come up here. This could be his lucky, graceful moment here, but no, there is a duo just above them. Could iDrop build a big enough base here to buy him some of a flex? Potentially. Oh no, it seems like the team's actually underneath. Okay, but we jump in with Queasy. Queasy's hurt here. Vino, pretty healthy. They have to double down alongside one another. It's Kylie and Fastroki. Kylie and Fastroki went south this game, had success down there, and now, because of that, inevitably, it puts them on the pathway, the war path of Vino and Queasy.
That was a big shot, though, that Kylie just landed onto Vino, took down his shields almost entirely so. Vino's gonna have to pause for a moment, utilize one of those legendary slurp juices to make sure that he is at ample HP to actually take this engagement. It's Kylie now looking for where he wants to try and make this finalized approach, but doesn't realize Veno's managed to sneak up behind him. And Veno making sure to return the favor of damage done. Queasy as well, starting to create a little bit of a separation here, starting to see whether or not he could try and pressure on the other side of these builds from Veno. It's a nice pressure application from this duo. All they've got to do now is finish it.
Vino making Monaco very proud here so far for the upper bracket. This fight now approaching that time where you start to think, how worth it is it? Can we get out of here safe and sound? Is there an exit plan for us? You have to assume they're feeling the same way. Yup, the demeanor says so, and we call it just right. They want to get out of there as much as we want to see them rotate, so on they go. Meanwhile, the same can be said about Pink and Vico. I'm sure they're thinking, okay, what's the game plan here? Acorn and Code know better, but at the same time, Acorn and Code are in such a better position. It's in their best interest to actually stay here, hold them out.
And not only
This is
that,
the team they want to take out.
exactly. Plus, Pink, we saw his builds just now in comparison to Cold. It is a night and day difference. I mean, Cold with 90 builds to still work through. Meanwhile, Pink, I believe last checked in, he had around like 16, 18. That's practically nothing. They've invested so much time here now that they don't really have another option other than to close this fight out because they need the materials, they need the refresh off of Cold and Acorn.
Acorn, Cold, but Cold gets him in the box and puts down the other as well. Pink and Vico shut down and sent back to the lobby. And that is the best team for them to eliminate. They already have pretty much top 25 now sealed in the bag. They were in third place coming into this, picking up these elims here. It was so good to kind of run it back one more time. Boxes him up, finishes him off. This is how excellent Cold is in the pocket. Well played.
It just did not seem as though Pink and Vico are ready to tackle Cold from that position, but being towards that Frenzy field side, they're going to have a great opportunity now for Acorn and Cold to make an approach towards the zone from the dead side rotation. So curious to see how that actually pans out for them later on. But as for Rise and Iamzo, solid as ever in terms of applying damage.
They're also the only team that finished top 5 in every major of the 3 majors. That is an exceptional position to put yourself in, really showing how flexible they are season to season. It also shows you they might just be the team this weekend. They might just be that team, but let's jump into the action here. Malabuka, hurt, 3 HP, forced down, and the pressure, unrelentless. Coming in from the Middle Eastern team, Rapid here, really pushing back. They've already claimed Thomas. And Malabuka wants nothing of that. The ME boy says, hey, listen, you're up. Sit down. We got this.
Absolutely insane, though, just how quickly Malabuka was able to escape from that position, because it really looked as if QNE and Rapid were about to finish off this duo. But with Thomas being out of the picture, Malabuka, granted, we know that he's capable of making those solo clutch circumstances happen, but with so many power hitters left in this lobby as a team, that solo spot not looking the best.
Vanyat, Karmi, absolutely scary, scary duo right here. Some of EU's greatest. Very hard-working duo here. Takes the Tini. Tina and Misha just haven't caught a break here. Rotating all the way down from the north side. Coming up short here now. Fragmented apart. Misha is looking to replenish himself here, but the Storm Surge is active. And Vanyat just says, hey, you know what? I want nothing to do with this. It's already looking pretty tough. I'm going to just go ahead and rotate on out of here. They're going to crash pad their way across, and that should be all she wrote.
And
nice,
to be fair,
effective rotate.
It's a lot of map to cover, though, for some of those north side teams. The way that things have been breaking down, but still, Vanyat and Karmi, again, doing a great job utilizing those crash pads. Cammy and Seti together as a duo, that's something that we haven't really seen too much of at this point in the game. Curious to see how their end game goes now that they're both up and running.
They're checking bushes, they're looking around, they're trying to see who is lingering about. They already have themselves their 3rd elimination, and they're sitting on top of the loot. So this is a full-on refresh for someone who was up on high ground here. So this is an excellent find for them. Meanwhile, looking at the top 5 here, Ritual and Reet are leading the charge by a fair margin. The only team on their heels now, Cold and Acorn, as Geras and Shari have been sent back to the lobby. But again, if you take a win right now, I mean, you have just about done enough. It'd be hard-pressed for you not to get out of the upper bracket and go straight to finals with a victory.
Yeah, we're definitely starting to see a pretty big point disparity from our top 10 to even our top 20 competitors. Grippe and Flixe, though, one more time. Another revive. It's going to have to go through, but this time it's going to be Grippe turning the favor onto his teammate Flixe. With that med mist as well, seems Flixe is going to be just fine for the time being, but they've still got to keep pushing forward. They still got to keep trying to move in, try and stay ahead of these zones wherever possible. But 2 revives into the match already, Monster. You can tell that they're definitely having some tough times with making these rotations.
And I know we're jumping in with Monaco's Mustache and Falcon Taste in here, but I want to give a lot of credit to Baka and Pars, who have a great position over the lobby right now. A bird's eye view. They are one of the few teams poised up for potential high ground, and they have just continued to show us what they are made of. They are now officially slipped their way into top 5, really working their way up. But hold up, Tayson's got a lot of problems knocking on his door. Ping has gotten knocked in the mix there. So while he was focused on Tayson, other teams started to look inwards, and I'm not sure Tayson understands that there was a down body there.
Or maybe he did and might be interested in trying to pursue it.
He's thinking about it.
Kyrie hoping he can get
there
it is. Ping in time, but it's going to be too much from Tayson. Interruption on that revive. Now it's Tayson and Merstash seeing if they can finish what somebody else had started. They managed to get the material refresh, the item refresh as well if they wanted. There for the taking, and Tayson will swap out for that double legendary slurp juices. But Merstash and Tayson still powering through some of these builds that have already been pre-established here, and that's just a freebie for them.
Yeah, it's all in all a net positive. You get the damage that you need. You start inching your way towards this end game, then looks like it is going to be a Slappy Shores finish here. It's going just outside the mountain there. Vino's already marked up the position they want to be in. It's that natural high ground on the backside here, the ice capsule. But again, Baka Par is looking downwards on them, putting that infinite upwards pressure here, not making it look easy at all here. Queasy's going to have to concede for a bit. It's cost him a lot. He's going to have to take some of Vino's inventory as well. So Vino trusting in Queasy to lead the rotate here.
It's all about that middle, though, at this point for Queasy, especially when you know that you're having some pressure being applied to you from the high ground. The more durable your builds, the better. As far as understanding, though, which way he wants to tarp Queasy, recognizing the fact that he's got his chance right now to just keep building up. And again, with it being metal, it's so difficult for teams to really take a second to try and chop them out just yet. Queasy gotta look for the connect onto some of these other builds, but dropping down ever so slightly, still maintaining the height overall, though.
And that's what they do best. Limited builds to just get there, connects it to a structure in the distance, but Cammy and Seti are looking backwards and they're saying, no, not today, not in this lobby. I want to fight for it as well. We need a big game here. We need it now. And all of a sudden now they are the most resistance on the front side of the zone here. But if they don't put pressure back, we know what's going to happen. Vino, Queasy will run with this.
Seti and Cammy aren't careful. Keep in mind where their builds were starting to go towards. I mean, with the direction that Queasy's headed, at least, it almost seems as though they might headbutt each other on the high ground at the moment here. But instead, it's Acorn, a bit sneaky with the crash pad. But he's continuing to hang around. He wants that front side of the zone, but hanging just on the edge of it.
And I just love how we're seeing, again, NA's best and EU's best, right? Back to back here, two different perspectives, two totally different layers. Acorn and Cold, again, just excellent low ground teams playing to what they play best, and they're doing it well here. Meanwhile, you do, of course, have your other teams fighting for height, so an excellent play to watch unfold here, but we jump into Pars, and end game from Pars here, too. No Baka. The least amount of elims we've seen so far, but it is a single one, so far of the 3, they put up numbers every time. Now we jump in with Muzz and Paper, turning online right now, 6 eliminations. Could this be their game? One big pop-up will put you up in that top 25, surely.
It's been a relatively quiet day for Muzz and Paper so far, so this could be a massive moment if they're able to seize it. Sitting on the low ground, though, Acorn and Cold. They can tell there's players trying to make their way around the edges next to them. 2 crash pads remain here at Acorn's disposal. Cold following closely behind. Cammy and Seti, though, they seem to be making an idea all their own.
Oh, this is crazy. From the backside here, they find the tags, and Vino's hurt. And this might be the new high ground. Cammy, Seti coming in out of nowhere, and they swing things around. Queasy's hurt. Vino's fully healthy, but no! Things change so quickly. Acorn and Cold finish him. And now Queasy's by himself, but it's still excellent end game for them. They're going to be happy with a top 10. Meanwhile, Paper and Muzz continue to force their way in here. 8 elims now, probably the most that are alive at the moment. Trailing behind another team, and Paper's going to fall there.
And unfortunately, Muzz to follow suit, but Merstash still up and kicking. Seti, though, with a massive hit, and that's the back-to-backs now onto Robop. But the materials refresh, it might not do him any good. He's not able to break into the zone in time. Acorn instead will be here play cutoff as now Merstash forced underneath it all. Larkpix as well, living as a solo. This is looking like Acorn and Cold's game for the taking.
And Acorn's doing an excellent job pressuring with the breach of shotgun, making sure no one's got a chance to breathe, but Larpex is still going. He's found 2. That's 11 eliminations for Larpex in the low. But NA takes the game. Acorn and Cold, the shrug.
He's making it look like it's exactly his plan. It's just too easy if you're Acorn and Cold. But the best part still is that moments away from figuring out just how the day is actually going to wind up. And we've got our very own Frankie down on the floor to see what they have to say.
I do. I'm so excited to talk to these guys because they're known for one of the most consistent placements in all of the games that they play, and you haven't disappointed us so far. What's it like, Cole, taking a victory royale of day one here in Copenhagen?
I don't know. It's an insane feeling. I mean, this guy's just, I don't know. This guy's on something else. Like, this guy's the best player, I think. I'm serious.
Yeah, doing it for Canada. We saw you in the air, nearly clutching the victory royale in the previous game, and now you've taken it one step further. For you, is it a bit of a dream to perform so well so early in the competition?
Of course. I mean, like, getting ahead early is always the best, and no pressure now, you know?
Yeah, you're not feeling the pressure. You're pretty set on Sunday already. Why do you think you are able so frequently to take down the competition?
I mean, I'm just playing with the best player. It's not that hard.
You have been preparing for this all year long. You qualified way back in Major 1. How do you feel like the game and the way you've had to play it has changed over the past year?
I mean, everything's changed. You know, we kind of did good in the beginning, then we had a little downfall, and everything's changing, but we're adapting pretty well.
You say downfall. What do you mean by downfall? Because you did place top 10 in all 3 majors in North America this year that you played. So for you, what's a bad day?
Anything under first.
Anything under first. Well, it's looking like you're probably going to have a very good day. Now, I've got to send back to the desk very quickly, though, before I do. Akon said such nice things about you, Cold. Have you got a message for him?
This guy is actually the best IG on the game. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. This guy, just, his brain is just, no one can compete.
Well, I can hear Akon saying, stop, stop, stop over there. So I will stop on your behalf and we'll head back to the desk.
Big congratulations to Acorn and Cold finding themselves the victory royale. Now, before we continue, quick shout outs to Vivid and Levin, who will be hanging out with us on the analyst desk here for the remainder of the day. My, oh my. Sometimes I didn't expect any duo to win a game in this fashion, and that it looked so easy.
That game was a roller coaster, and for multiple reasons, really. And, you know, when we tune into the global championships, the one thing that obviously everybody is excited about is the clash of playstyles, the best at what they do. And throughout this game, you know, we saw a couple of height changes between, you know, arguably the best height team in the world, Queasy and Venom. And then I was like, oh, look at this, Acorn and Cold. They're on the low ground. That's exactly where they thrive. And then, yeah, they ended up on the high ground to win the game.
Yeah, that's what I've been looking at, Vivid, right? You're looking at the teams and seeing if the things that they do so well in their region, can that translate here on the global stage? For Cold and Acorn, the answer is absolutely yes. They have been dominating on these layers. And I think the big thing here is that, you know, you look at these guys, they're clearly in their element. They're feeling so confident. Cold, when he's at his best, what a player. Honestly, it's almost hard to describe the levels, right? Major 1, when they won the FNCS in their region, I genuinely think that peak that Cold had hit as a player individually, one of the best we've ever seen from anybody, right? He was on a whole different level, and he's showing that here today right now.
I could not agree with you more. Now, what I'm curious about are the standings. Let's take a look together. Let's see how things are unfolding. Remember, we're trying to end the day in the top 25, go straight through to Sunday. Acorn and Cold here in that number 1 spot, breaking 200 points. All right. This is day 1, guys. Save some for Sunday.
This is what I love to see, you know. I gave a little bit of a sneak peek as to who I was going to be rooting for earlier on in the day, and it was Acorn and Gold. It was the NA boys, and I'm very happy to see them up there. This honestly has big implications for all Spawn, though, right? We got to remember that they're contested, so now they could play a little bit more aggressive in that sense.
Yeah, if you're Pink and Vico, you're looking at these guys going, hold on a minute. We are letting them run away with things. We need to maybe think about putting a bit more pressure on them, making these games a bit more difficult for them. I'm personally looking at some of the players beneath them, right? Queasy and Veno just below. We saw how hot they started the day. They're going to be looking above them thinking, okay, you know, these guys are setting the tempo, but we're going to do our thing up on height while they do their thing down below. It's been weird for Queasy and Veno, especially, right? Because we're seeing them so consistently going into these end games in positions to play out height very, very well, right? You know, it's typical stuff for them. But they're having a couple problems, right? Where a bunch of their other EU compatriots are very much making things difficult for them, right? Seti and Cammy flanking them in that last game. Typically, Queasy and Veno, very aware of their flanks. That's not something that they often get caught out at. But this time around, we're seeing what happens. Seti and Cammy are there waiting for them.
Gosh, I always have to have so much respect for Cammy and Seti, right? Because I was honestly looking at their position, and it was as that 7th zone rotate was coming in. They were actually towards that castle split. They were based up on top of it, and I was like, wow, they're on the high ground. They have a very good position. And then next zone showed, and it went all the way north, and I was like, yeah, there's no way this is going to end up being a good game. And look at this. Cammy, Seti, they just surprise every single time, and in such good fashion. I mean, you mentioned it. Queasy and Veno, they're usually aware of their flank. How did Cammy and Seti pull this off?
And it's not just playing it off right when they're actually in the position, delivering, being able then to actually, you know, hit the shots. Of course, they did get chopped out on height eventually, right? It was Acorn and Cole that did that so well. But I think the big thing with Cammy and Seti is obviously we saw how they started the day, and I think it's fair to say they brushed the dust off their shoulders, right? They didn't allow, you know, losing off spawn early on to sort of derail their competition. They understood, hey, look, we just got to stick to the fundamentals, get back in the game. We can beat these guys off spawn, and now they are delivering in the game.
And one more point here about Cammy and Seti. We talked about the all-spawn situation with Acorn and Cold. Now it's similar for Cammy and Seti, right? They're pretty chilling when it comes to the points.
Just wild. And to think this all began, like, their day started with basically no points on the board, right? And their counterparts, Veno and Queasy, getting the Victory Royale. And now they're sitting there attacking them on high ground. This is the story we all came here to see. At least I did. Right into the loving embrace, of course, of Acorn and Cold. Like, yes, bring me points. That's what we want today. You talk about this being a roller coaster. I feel like so many things happened in this game. I mean, we saw Hydra by himself take Rift Island uncontested. At one point, he was getting shot. I was thinking, oh, yeah, they're going to jump. They can tell. Nope. 15 points.
And you might be thinking, Zeke, right? Like, oh, it's so easy, right? Oh, he's up there as a solo. Why don't we just go up there and contest him? I mean, it's got to be the nerves, right? There's so much information that these players are very good at hiding. Idrap somehow got that situation off where he's like, hey, I'm just going to sneak up here. And I'm pretty sure later on, actually, because as we know, Reboot Van on top of the island ended up using it to go ahead and reboot his teammate. So smart.
Absolutely insane. Levin left speechless. Now, we do have something really cool here lined up. It is actually a listening to that game-winning moment from Acorn and Cold. Let's take a listen.
We're just gonna crash pad and go. Not now though, but like on the road.
Got it.
Ready? You're gonna jump on the ramp.
Yeah, go ahead.
Do this. I'm just gonna slide.
Yeah, I hit it. We're good.
Just gonna run. Run left, run left. Going deeper. All too low ground. I built the box for you as well.
Nice, bro. Really good job. Getting heavy.
Are you good?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Good looking right here, look here, look at me.
100, 120. Break. 20 cone, got it.
30 white, 60, I got it. I'm PC for that one.
Low PC.
There.
I mean, I just have to say it. Every single time I get to hear these guys' comms, Acorn and Cold are so composed, so chill. You'd never think they're sitting at a LAN, you know, the biggest LAN that there is to play, you know, playing one of the most difficult lobbies. They're just there chilling.
I think what impresses me the most, if you look at literally any esport, doesn't matter which one, have your pick. Professional comms sound like that. There's a lot of things he could have been calling out. Both of them, though, just sat there. They only called out what was most vital. The most critical thing in that moment. Everything else was calm. The moment they find a moment to strike, it's like, okay, let's actually communicate in this moment and get done what we need to do. That's crazy.
I love watching, honestly, the professional players that play at this level. Because, you know, we're thinking about the meta, and we have the mini crash pads. They're out now. but it's not a lot of mobility, right? So you have to save a lot of your materials. And the way that some of these pro players do it, we saw it right there where they were kind of talking through that rotate. They're kind of just running in the open a lot of the times, not building, but they find those timings, and that's why they're so good.
And big props once again to Acorn, right? This is a player who you see how Cold is talking about him as an IGL, saying this guy's brain is unmatched, you know, he's you know, the best player, whatnot. Earlier this year, right, when they didn't do as well during Major 2, there were doubts within their relationship, right? You know, there was, you know, conversations about them potentially splitting up, and I had the chance to speak to Acorn about it, and he said, look, hands up, that Major was my fault. I was not up to par, I was not up to standard, but I'm going to fix that.
Okay.
And I think it's safe to say he's fixed it, right? You know, you see the way they're playing right now, and things are clearly in a much better place. They're clearly much more confident in each other, and that's always the key, right? You have to be able to trust your teammates, Zeke, if you're going to have success in a competition like this.
That is why me and Vivid are good at Fortnite when we play zero builds, because I trust Vivid completely. Now, let's kind of focus in on here. We like to kind of discuss Storm Surge strategies. Obviously, y'all at home, I know I could use some help, but something that was we kind of saw it. Something we saw in game was actually Reet and Ritual. They have a very interesting Storm Surge strategy.
Yeah, placing very, very high up on the leaderboard right now. And it's not even necessarily about the Storm Surge strategy. It's about using their drop spot to their advantage. They're going to be dropping towards Creaky Compound, which is pretty central of the map. And if we think about any of the Fortnite zones, right, usually most of them will involve the center of the map in some capacity in those early zones. And the cool thing about Creaky Compound, look at all of these hills that Ritual and Reet can take advantage of. The fact that they're landing there means that they get early priority to a lot of those positions. And every single game, they're going to make sure that they base up on those high ground positions to make sure that any of the players rotating through the center of the map, which, by the way, a lot of players like to rotate through the center of the map, and make sure they can get all the tags necessary for their Storm Surge.
And I think an interesting thing to note, and it's big props to Reet here, when you typically look at discussions around Storm Surge and the ability for people to, you know, be effective in tags, you often go, look, controller players, it's a lot harder, right? Long distance, that aim assist ain't as strong. Reet making it look easy, hitting every single shot, bang, 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 bang. You don't care. You don't care. He's hitting everything, right? And so, big props to Reet. That's not an easy thing to do, especially under the pressure as well. We're at the Global Championships once and for all. So, I think for him to be doing as well as he is right now says a lot about him as a player.
Good shout.
Absolutely. You guys are killing it. You guys are great. I love y'all. All right. Actually, why don't we go ahead and check out the Creator Lounge? Kelly Link is standing by with a very special creator. Who are you with, Kelly?
Thank you so much, Zeke. And I am here with someone very special. It is Keep Up Radio. Thank you so much for joining me here.
Gosh, thank you for having me.
Okay, so we're 3 games down, 2 to go. What has been your experience so far?
Oh my gosh, I've been having the best time. I think just coming to IRL events and seeing the players play and the crowd get so excited and crazy, it's the best experience for sure.
And what has it been like interacting with all the creators here in the Creator Lounge?
It's been so fun. Shout out to Reddish, shout out to Peach, my people. I love getting to see the people that I interact with online IRL as well. It's really fun.
Well, if we're going to talk about your people, then we got to talk about your favorite team as well. Who is it?
Okay, so I came in not really knowing who I wanted to root for, but Cold and Acorn have like stolen my heart. I'm rooting for them. Let's go.
Oh, then you must feel really good. Just them walking away in Game 3 with that victory royale.
I know, it was so exciting. I was like getting a touch up right before, and I'm like trying to look over like, oh my gosh, they finally won. So exciting. So I'm excited to see what they do for the rest of the games.
And I'm so excited to hear about what you do with all this Fortnite music. What is the process for creating these incredible songs?
Yeah, it's so fun. I really just try to take pop culture and music and like kind of take the elements of songs that we know and love and like apply it to Fortnite, and I feel like the people really relate to it, which is so fun and so awesome.
Do you have any songs in the works right now?
Oh my gosh, none that I want to talk about yet.
Okay, fair.
Yeah, but shout out if you know Tilted Tower Dance, go Tilted, go Tilted. That has 100,000 streams on Spotify, and it's a Fortnite song, and I'm so proud of that, so really cool.
Keep Up Radio, thank you so much for joining me here. Where can people find you online?
You can find me on as Keep Up Radio everywhere, and can I just say one more thing?
Yes, of course. Oh my God, thank you again so much. And guys, back to you on the desk.
Go Tilted.
Go Tilted. Go Tilted. Go Tilted. Shout out to you, Keep Up Radio. Again, it's just so cool. We've been doing FNCS for a year now, coming together, bringing everybody into one big pool, just being like, what's up, Fortnite fam? It's great to see all of you from different walks of life, from different aspects of the game, all in a single place. How have you guys enjoyed the competition so far?
Yeah, you know, I think the competition is delivering completely for me, right? The atmosphere has been absolutely amazing. The crowd's been going absolutely wild, especially when Thomas HD is on the screen. I know the M8 audience up there, every single time they're on the screen, they've been going crazy. So shout out to everybody that's here.
Yeah, nah, the atmosphere's been unbelievable. And to think, you know, we've got more days of this, right? Coming. We've got Saturday, we've got Sunday. It's going to get even more loud inside of here, which I'm very much excited about. But, you know, even in the server, right, in the game, the players have been delivering, man. I think when you have a competition like this where you have the stakes set so high, you know we're expecting the big names to come out, but they're actually giving us performances, you know, that match up to the status they have. It is a special, special, special day. So I think looking at all the players, hopefully these last 2 games continue to deliver in that regard. I saw the leaderboard was looking a bit too NA for my liking. So hopefully some more of the EU teams can sneak their way up there. But of course, this is, you know, the upper bracket day. The more important day will be the grand finals to see my EU boys up there.
Yeah, no bias at all. No bias.
No, 100% bias. No,
of course.
Fully biased.
And I'm sure you guys are wondering, what's up with this longer break? Well, keep in mind we're halfway through the day, so we have to give the players a break. Get them to step back, kind of refresh the mentals to come back stronger in these next couple of games. Frankie is actually standing by right here, right now with Miro and Cooper. Let's take a listen.
I am, and this is such an impressive duo because they came together for Major 2 and qualified for Globals back then by coming second. So, of course, they had to talk to them. Currently in 24th position on the leaderboard. And Cooper, this is your first LAN. Are you happy with how things are going so far?
I think we should be doing a lot better in terms of on the leaderboard. But for my first LAN, I can't complain. You know, I'm having a good time, and I hope we do better.
So how come you've become this fresh-faced IGL that everyone is saying such great things about, given that this is your first LAN?
Starting an IGL role was really hard for me, but I think playing with Mero also, being a great teammate, I think I've improved drastically, and I hope I do better, yeah, hope I do good.
Why did you want to become an IGL?
Being a fragger, I feel like I never got a good IGL, and I wanted to kind of take terms of being the leader in a duo, and I just got lucky to play with the best fraggers, so.
Well, I should talk to that best fragger now. Mira, I apologize for leaving you out in the cold as I've spoken to your teammate for so long. But you are regarded as a veteran. This is not your first rodeo. Why did you want to compete here with Cooper?
I think he's a good teammate. He's always grinding the game. You know, that's really about it, honestly. He's just fun to play with, good teammate. And I don't know, we kind of have like a lot in common in terms of like interests and stuff. So he's like easy to talk to about things and like music and all that. So it's just easy, you know?
Have you got a warm-up song that you listen to before you go on stage?
Ski by Sexy Red.
I do not know the song, but that is because I'm not as cool as you two are. So what's the strategy now? How are you going to regroup to try and guarantee that spot in Sunday's grand final today?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say too much because I don't want to get DQ'd, but I feel like I really haven't had a fair chance of playing Fortnite yet, and I think that we just need a little bit more luck on our side, and we're going to be fine.
Okay, well, hopefully the luck will be on your side. Thank you so much for talking to me, gentlemen. I'll let you go and get some food, and I am going to bring in a Londoner. In fact, our only Londoner on LAN, so therefore I'm slightly biased because I'm from London too, if you hadn't noticed by the accent. Pink, currently 29th on the leaderboard. How are you finding things in Copenhagen so far?
I'm finding it good. Despite our placement, I think we're not playing the best, but I'm finding it good, yeah.
Why do you think you're not playing the best yet?
Game 1, we played well. Game 2, there was a minor error making the whole game go to waste. But then Game 3, obviously, contested by Acorn. He was already qualified in 2 games, so he dedicated Game 3 to grief us. So I think we'll continue to do that for Game 4 and Game 5, but that's what happened so far.
Are you thinking you can grief back then? How are you going to respond to this? Because you're not the kind of guy who's going to back down in a fight.
I mean, at this point, they're qualified, so no matter what we do, they're through to the next round anyways. So it's more so a thing where we've got to let go of the grudge and just focus on ourselves for now.
So they're not in your head?
No, not at all.
And how are you finding things with Vico? Because you're a relatively new duo. You came together for Major number 3 and you pulled off what you needed to do to make it to Globals. But this was a surprising duo in some ways. So why do you think it's managed to come together so quickly?
I've been very tough with Vico, and he's like, at the start he was a bit annoying, I'd say, but more so now he's more so making me proud. So I think we're a good duo. We complement each other well, and I like playing with him.
He's a really aggressive player. How did you manage to stop him pressing W in every situation?
I had to fake drop him. I've had to scream a lot. I've had to do a lot of things. I've kind of mentored him in a way, but yeah.
Pink, I'm looking for a coach, so I don't know if we can. Once you're done with Globals, you've got the spare time with your hands. Are you taking new clients on?
No.
Well, it's a great excuse. It's a great excuse, darn it. But I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it. I'll just go solo. Thank you so much for talking to me, Pink, and we will see you out on the Battle Bus. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you so much for those interviews for the players. Pink is always one that's very honest, Levin. He's going to tell you what's on his mind, and there's nothing wrong with that, I don't think.
Yeah, honestly, it's the best policy. You know, I wouldn't have it any other way. You want people to lie to you? Would I ever lie to you? That's not the way. I never lied. I never lied to you. Look, the one thing I'd say about Pink, right, and Vico is they're in a very tough spot. Because, like he just said, Acorn and Cold, they're basically qualified now, right? They could, not play the rest of the games, and they'll be good to move through to the finals. These guys aren't, right? And so if you're Acorn and Cold and these guys are contesting you, you're going to make their life as difficult as possible. You're going to make sure you can do whatever it takes to guarantee they don't have a chance to contest you come grand final time. So if I was Pink and Vika, I'd be not worried per se, because, this is not a guy that's ever going to be worried, but I would start to be a bit concerned.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely bring up some very valid points, but I think if anything has been proven by some of these performances so far, one good game, right? One victory route with a couple eliminations is worth enough points, 100%, to fly up that leaderboard. So they just got to win that spawn fight one more time.
Do you think they do that, though? Is that the play, trying to kind of keep rolling the dice? Is it just let's find somewhere else, or let's just disengage? What do you guys think?
So it's interesting, right? Because Pink is a player that's very experienced when it comes to being contested, right? You look back all the way to Chapter 3, Season 2, I believe it was contested by Mustache and Malabuko, and they were playing together, and they, were unbelievable, right? And I remember Pink saying to me, I've never experienced that off spawn, right? And they got demolished back then when he was playing with Anas, but he learned a lesson, right? He learned what it takes to be a good off spawn team, and he said to me he had a lot of those sort of similar strategies coming in to try and use against Acorn and Cold, and so maybe now we start to see him start to whip out some of the things he maybe would have wanted to save for grand finals, but use them now to secure a spot for final.
Good stuff. They are sitting there on the bubble, 29th place. Remember, top 25 will be the ones to move on to Sunday's finals. Now, if you find themselves at the bottom 25, they still have tomorrow. Obviously, not the best situation to find themselves in. Vivid right now, Levin makes a great point. If they're kind of pulling out some of these strategies, they might have to. Yes, it very well could get them to Sunday, but if it doesn't, that means that they're going to go into tomorrow's lower bracket, and those 25 players will have watched this. They will have known, okay, well, this is what they're looking to do.
Yeah, I mean, very interesting situation. I don't think anybody wants to be in the situation that they are in right now. But listen, we're at the Global Championships, right? These teams are here for a reason. If 2 games is what it takes for them to actually go through the finals, I guarantee you that they are very, very well capable of it.
Yeah, 100%, right? Again, it is just a matter of doing what they were able to do in that first game, right? He said it himself, that first game, if it was good, they were in that game. They looked good. They looked like a team that was going to continue throughout the day to have pop-offs, but unfortunately it hasn't panned out that way, right? Have to get back to what that was in game 1, and I think it's very possible for this team.
Yeah, so what you kind of just touched on, you guys are just hitting me with the razzle-dazzle right now.
That's what we do.
That's what you do. This is the Global Championships, okay? We're looking for the best duo in the world. There cannot be any question. There has to be a duo that steps up and says, we are definitively better than everybody else. So I feel like at this point in time, we can be a bit more critical about some of these things, right? And we kind of have to be, We can't just say, well, this is a major, you've got weeks 2, weeks 3, we'll see you in grands, it's fine. No, this is the end of the line.
You know what? Levin said it. Honesty is the best policy, right? So I'm going to talk about one of the favorites here, right? We took a look at a little bit of the bubble right there, and I saw 23rd place, Thomas, HD, and Malabuka. That is not a very comfortable spot to be.
Not at all. Not at all. And obviously, when you are the favorite, there's pressure that comes with that. You've got this crowd here that's making all this noise for you. If you are Thomas, HD, and Malabuka, you have to start thinking about, okay, how do we get back into this, right? I think a lot of people saw them as a favorite coming into this competition because they are so good. But things haven't been easy, right? The Canada versus an Aegis off-spawn battle hasn't been the simplest of equations for them to solve. And even, beyond that, right? Actually, when they are getting to play out games, the formula, it's not quite clicking, it's not quite working.
That's right. Well, I'm getting word. As much as I'd love to continue this conversation, games are ready to go. So let's kick it up to the casters to get us prepped.
We are here. This is game 4 about to get underway. And I want to give a huge shout out to Kit. But let's go ahead and go to the battle bus because the game starts now. to say is a shout out to Cammy and Seti. They had a little bit of a rough start to start the day, but they have shown it just takes one big game to get yourself inside of that top 25. And this being game 4, with only one game left after this, there's only a few spots left for those bubble teams to grab.
And we're looking at a team that definitely needs a good matchup for things to start picking up for them. Podesai, Snazy starting to get some shots from the sky, but here at the racetrack, we've watched this for 3 games now. 2-1 in favor of Thomas and Malabuka. Kanata trying to see what he can do. It's a double fire, but Thomas, for the time being, he's gonna go down. Kanata and Agers looking like they could be in a decent position here, but it's Malabuka on the wraparound of the reboot van, trying to make sure that he can keep Thomas and his own hopes alive for this game number 4. Agers, Kanata so incredibly low, but Malabuka down to half HP. Now jumping on top of the building, and the reboot van just barely keeping the hope alive for Kanata and Agers.
Oh, this is going to be a big save. His chance to get his HP back, and a down on to Kanata. He has no ammo left. This could be huge if Agers could just find a way to just push up, finish this off, but it's Malabuka who does it yet again.
One of the few times where a tactical DMR is going to look like the saving grace here for Malabuka. Thomas as well with the immediate dap up onto his boy, and for good reason, because this score, it's already being telegraphed. 3-1 now in favor of Thomas and Kanata, and keep in mind, or excuse me, Thomas and Malabuka, but for Agers and Kanata, they're literally in 35th place. And that's bound to get pushed even further back now.
That's where you start to feel the nerves and you feel like you're in the danger zone. We got Cal Gamer, 7-man going up against King and Phaser Kami yet again. And this is where it's going to get heated up. He gets a little bit of a first strike, but doesn't really take advantage of it. And a quick reposition out of King and Phaser. This is exactly what you have to do, but the rift does go off. They're trying to reposition and try to have some claim towards that high ground, but they're not able to do too much. They have to concede relentless retreat in order to stay alive.
Right idea, though. Sometimes you just know when a fight isn't yours to make happen. And for 7-man, all his ammo's running relatively low with that disengage from Phaser. 7-man and Galgamer now gonna have ample time to try and loot out relentless retreat. Slappy Shores action has been relatively quiet. We've seen a couple of circumstances with Tayson.
Yeah.
Really just nice surge strategy going for the most part at this location. But for True Lakes and Chicho, they've also had a relatively quiet time so far.
Yeah, for them, they just got to start building up that confidence. Because even though they'd have the cushion that you could still fall into day 2, we were just talking about it, that's not something you even want to test. Anything can happen in that lower bracket. That's why it's paramount for these teams to qualify today, give themselves a break, a chance to readjust. And Bugha and Threats is one of those teams that's outside of that bubble. And I think that's something nobody would have expected coming into today.
One thing that we've definitely noticed from the past 3 games that have played out so far, Threats and Bugha, they've never been a duo. They've never gotten a chance to actually participate in that late game circumstance together. So maybe here in game number 4, seems as though Threats is on a mission to write his own story. As some nice tags along the coast side, just south of Sanguine Suites. A lot of pressure being applied to the duo a little bit south of them.
Yep, just like I was talking about with Cammy and Seti, just one big game. This could be the start that Bugha and Threats need to try to propel themselves, if not to the top of the leaderboard, at least inside of that top 25, and that'll give them that chance to readjust. P8's in, Kitos, they've been doing well so far as well, and that's something that you want to see. Even if you're qualified already, you want to keep up the pace, continue to build that confidence, because even though you might have Saturday off, you have to be prepared for Championship Sunday. $4 million on the line. That's not something to take lightly.
And again, I think it doesn't necessarily have to be flashy, but for Thomas and Malabuka...
I'm going far, I'm going far. I got spot. I'm dead, I think. 60 wide, I'm dead, they're both here. He's getting shot in the back though, One is running back to farm and one is plant B. They're gonna get siphoned for B. Farm the brick after. Toilet, here. Okay. He's alone. Nice! Get.
Yeah, for Thomas and Malabuka, it's definitely looked pretty flashy. When you're going for that 50-50, when you're representing that there's a reason why this is your POI, at least that they're going to be choosing to drop at, or their established drop spot. Racetrack's almost feeling like a POI with how well they have managed to just take hold of it.
Yeah, and I'm not too surprised. It was a couple of majors ago where they were contested. And I wouldn't say it was the highest placing of a contested team ever, but it was one of the highest placings in an FNCS Grand Finals for a team while contested. So they've had that preparation throughout the year, and they're putting all that preparation here to the test. Just like Duke and Edgy, trying to pick up the pace here. They are your FNCS Grand Finals champions of the NA region as well. They already started off with 1 elimination, so you know they at least have some surge in their back pocket. But as the lobby and the games have shown throughout the day, you need more than just some surge. You need an ample amount of surge in order to survive this game.
And for Duke and Edgy, they need a lot of points as well, because you have to remember they entered Game 4 in that 46th position. So quite a lot of places to jump up in the leaderboard if they want to actually find themselves in that top 25. But right now, leaderboard is the least of Frostroki's concern. Right now, it is all about surviving and maybe, if he's lucky, finding an opportunity here to look for a pickoff onto Yuumi, because Frostroki, if he's able to find this knock, or if he's able to just be patient, he might actually have a chance to look for grabbing his teammate's reboot card if he hasn't already. Full disengage. It's still plenty early enough in the game where a reboot ban opportunity could definitely come up clutch.
Especially here where the zone is pulling forward. A lot of those teams are going to begin to rotate, whether they try to go to the slow side or directly straight towards the center. That is going to be one of the few safe opportunities you will have, as the augments are already beginning to come out. Possible rarity check, and a lot of these teams, you might be saving some of those augments as well, but King and FaZe or Kame, you saw them disengage out of Relentless Retreat. They're outside of the top 25, so a game like this is necessary to come out on top, grab as many points as you can, and he's already getting challenged for that high ground, instantly gives up. Phaser and him are a little bit too separated for my liking, and probably theirs as well.
Striker, though, decent top-down overview. But it's going to be Exodus with the immediate trading of that big shield potion, making sure that his teammate is able to maintain as close to full shield as possible. Exodus, meanwhile, hey, you might be looking straight, but there's plenty of teams sure to be looking at you as well. Got to make sure that your backside is covered. And that's going to be an immediate drop down into the safety of their tower that they've managed to build up. Phaser and King, though, just outside of zone, just kind of landlocked for the time being as well on this beach outside of Relentless Retreat. It does not seem as though they're going to have a very easy time working their way in.
Nah, and you kind of saw them there on the leaderboard, 22 points overall. As it stands now, that bubble, that 25th spot is at 58 points. So it's not too far for any one of these teams to really climb up the pace, but the usual Misha and Teeny switching up their drop spot, not liking how their games have been going so far, so they're sticking to what even qualified them to the Global Championship themselves, and that is these sneak attacks. They're going ahead and trying to cut off somebody's boot path and take advantage while they can, and that's QNDX that they're going after, and they have a 2v1 for the time being, and they're wasting a lot of their resources just trying to build for it, because that is the extra loot that they need. Instead of farming up at a drop spot, this is the strategy that they're going to use, but unfortunately enough, their opponent does get away. He finds a way to disengage, so they're going to have to figure out where else they're going to get their loot from.
I don't know if that was intuition, by the way,
maybe
from QND, or if maybe some sort of audio cue might have given things away there for Misha and Teeny, but they were certainly ready to pull the trigger a little bit too soon there and didn't let QND actually fully step into the building. And again, it did seem as though QND kind of recognized better, thought that maybe the loot's a little bit too free in this circumstance.
Just a huge beam from Okus, trying to go ahead and get as much surge as possible. I think for someone like him, he's been doing a good job so far, trying to pick up these opportunities where he can. And that's the thing. Reet and Ritual probably didn't even really see exactly where those shots came from, who was surrounded or all around them, and see they're going towards the south side of the zone, that they have to be careful, because as long as they continue to go south, we saw the zone was pulling up. So this will be the congested side. You already see in the minimap there are so many teams going ahead and grabbing their spot all around them. That's going to make it that much harder, but Misha and Teeny keeping things on the run. The weapon cache is going to come up. and that's 7-man and Cow Gamer that they're trying to contest for it. A little bit of a mistake there with the briefcase turret, trying to go ahead and use it to their advantage. Dini with a nice shot from the side, backs up towards his teammate. 7-man Cow Gamer. This could be their opportunity to try to advance, clean up this elimination, finish the damage you already put down. But for them, it's just grabbing the real estate, grabbing all that piece control, so when the cash does pop, it is all theirs.
Well, as far as 7-man and Cow Gamer are concerned, keep in mind, 7-man, decent loadout to take this challenge up against Teeny and Misha. Left side peek, maybe not the most favorable, but they're certainly still making the magic happen. Builds continuously being edited out for both sides and destroyed in the process here. But Teeny, Misha, they look as though they really want at least one, if not both, of these eliminations now. They know that 7-man and Cow Gamer are bound to have some excellent resources and materials, but again, if you're Cow Gamer and 7-man, we saw their loadouts. They don't necessarily need to pressure this. They've got exactly what they were looking for. Can easily disengage at this point.
Yeah, and being another team that's outside of that top 25 bubble, they're just trying to play the safe game, scrape by, try to get some points, and that's Reet and Ritual are almost trying to do the opposite. They're trying to take the fight to Malibuca and Thomas. Thomas and Malibuca are one of those teams that talked about how good they're playing as a contested duo, but they're in 23rd place. Going down here, no placement points. They only get to 8 points for those eliminations off spawn. This is not what position you want to be in. And you can see they're not playing safe. Even though they did get some damage, they're not going ahead advancing on it. They got their spot in zone, and they're just trying to hold on to it. You see the loot switch. That's respect between teammates as well.
Malibuca definitely understanding that there's a reason Thomas is known as a fragger in the EU region. And with that sharp tooth, seems as though Thomas feeling a little bit more comfortable with trying to aggress even further onto Ritual and Reet, but we'll have to tune back into them a little bit later on here, because keep in mind what Pink said in that mid-game interview, but we'll get more insight on that later on, because right now we've got some great insight coming your way via Mighty Miner.
Thank you so much, Taco. Now, we saw a huge game from Acorn and Cold right there, which basically solidifies their spot in the grand finals on Sunday. We can see them doing everything in their power to make sure that Pink and Vico don't have the same success. Now, Pink and Vico are actually in 29th place right now, so they're just dipping. They're getting out of there. Of course, getting inside the territory of Camry and Sethi as well. They don't want anything to do with it. They want to make sure they're avoiding fights as much as possible, because they've only got 2 games to make it happen.
With only 2 games left, you could see with Pink and Vico, they talked about it going down, but as all that happened, Merstash is now in a 1v2 position, trying to back up, trying to do as much as he can to try to stay alive. That's Duke and Edgy on the other side. They need these points, and it's a 2v1 situation, and Merstash is not backing down from the challenge. A nice shot, but that's going to be a miss. Merstash takes a little bit of damage, but he has more than enough heals to try to get himself into tip-top shape, and it's only really a matter of time. Duke and Edgy, if they realize that this man is a solo, that could be their opportunity to strike. At this stage in the game, with only 2 games left, you have to try to get as many points as possible. Even if you don't get in the top 25 here, you want to get yourself as close as possible.
The hesitation, though, is definitely not there as far as Verstroki and Kylie are concerned. They see a solo. They're ready to completely try and run him down, because it's going to be Inshari left to fend for himself here. A nice double elimination there, Verstroki and Kylie. So the plan, clearly a success from their starting point. A great job getting that reboot ban so they could play the game out as a duo.
285 above the Storm Surge threshold. Alex and Worthy trying to take advantage of this opportunity that is right before their very eyes. Peeking around towards the backside of the zone, where they're trying to predict some other teams are trying to find a little spot, a little crevice, anything that they can hang on to. But as you saw on the mini-map, not too many teams are there. Acorn and Cold, you said it yourself. They have already got their spot into Championship Sunday. But you know as well as I do, there's more than just money on the line. There's more than just the Axe of Champions. It's about calling yourself the best Fortnite duo in the world. And that's what Cold and Acorn came to do. Specifically Cold. He was at the Invitational along with Acorn, different duos, but he placed 3rd. He fell just shy of both Queasy and Vino and Cammy and Seti. And he's out for redemption here as Merstash in another 1v1. He takes out Oak, is trying to keep the show alive.
So unfortunate for Oakis, but Merstash, he might have found 1 elimination. He's got a lot more work ahead of him, though, just from this position alone. here at the Creaky compound. As a solo, Mustache is really gonna have to try and play things safe from the backside of zone. Probably gonna have to wait, recognizing the fact that there's some other teams around him, but no, actually he can't afford to play safe because the surge damage threshold has just tapped in. And with that in mind, Mustache now, it is essentially now or never. He's got to make a play. He's got to find some damage, and he is just barely managing to put himself into that safety net threshold. But he's looking to challenge for more.
That's just a daring play. Very, very brave, but that's something you kind of known for Mustache, one of the more mechanically skilled players in the EU region overall. He's willing to take those chances. He's willing to bet on himself, but since he didn't land a shot and didn't cover the distance, he's just trying to disengage. You said it yourself as well. He's just trying to find his way in towards the zone instead of waiting, letting time pass by, and having all those duos pass him and try to hold him out. I think that was a perfect play for him to try to find his spot inside of the zone. But a team that needs to not only find their spot into the zone, they need to find damage, and they need to start to build that groove. 77 below, continuously falling. They're taking some time to try to get some resources, but that's the decision you got to make. What's more important, Storm Surge or resources to try to survive?
Granted, there is kinetic ore available for King and Vaser to utilize, but unfortunate stuff there. Doesn't take them quite as far as they were hoping for, and now with that sound going off, seems as though teams on the hill have definitely taken. Oh, a beautiful shot though from King. That suppressed sniper rifle might be the main reason why they weren't as concerned, but they're still below on surge damage. Another shot like that though, and they might just be ahead.
Luckily there on the tail end. Couple of shots go through, 65 above. They do get the knock, but chances for them to be able to take advantage might not necessarily be there, but that's not necessarily what they were looking for. They were looking to move through. They were looking to get themselves a spot in towards the zone, and this is a replay of that shot. Just amazing coming out from King, while the pressure is on as well. He is one of the teams outside of that bubble that needs to put in that work.
And let that be a reminder, I think, for some of these teams, even if you have that height positioning, if you peek just a little bit too far, get a little bit too comfortable, well, a player like King, he'll make sure to take care of that for you.
Yeah, and a lot of these players, you know, they might lose sight of that suppressed sniper being in the game. They might forget, or they might be forced to peek to get the surge for themselves. And those are the opportunities we've been seeing all day, but danger happens. Duke goes down to paper from one team that has their spot for a team that's fighting for it. That leaves Edgy all by himself trying to clutch up. Acorn and Cold, first place on the leaderboard. They're faring well with that Storm Surge, even though they're just forced to continue to move north in this zone. They're bypassing a lot of those teams that are on that Rift Island, which honestly looks a little bit more active than we've seen in some of these previous games.
But for Cold and Acorn, when you know for a fact that you're already guaranteed that Championship Sunday, like we just talked about, they could do essentially whatever they want, even if it means just completely running down some other teams. Yeah, again, Pink and Vico talked about it. They mentioned it. Edgy and Duke, though, still looking to work together here as all these teams continue to pile in to the Eclipse's state. The way the zone is pulling, mildly unforgiving, given some of the water surrounding the area, but definitely something that these teams can work with.
See the little bounce pad junior trying to boost themselves to the front side of the zone. They don't want to be one of the last teams there. And unfortunately enough, they will be in the back of the pack, but they instantly are trying to build for some elevation. They don't want to get stuck on that low ground, especially in this zone. That was what I was about to say. It could be a roller coaster of emotions. We're going up mountains. We're going across rivers. Anything can happen here, and they get into the box. Duke's being forced back. A lot of damage is there. He's going to get knocked. It's all up to Edgy, and their run comes to an end in 34th place. That leaves their backs up against the wall in our 5th and final game.
Yeah, Acorn and Cold do not care. It does not matter who it is. As long as you appear in front of them as a target, they will look to eliminate you. And they've been extraordinarily successful all day so far today. Malabuka and Thomas, though, they've also had a pretty solid day as well, Jacob. But again, this is definitely an instance where they could look to cement themselves in that top 25. Game 4 goes well.
See them just trying to get that damage. Robob goes down, but at least his teammate Axforce is still alive, trying to grab them as many points as possible. But at least they're inside or at that 10th place spot for now. Probably got it secured, but you don't want to leave it up to a pro, but you don't want to leave it up to the judges. As you see another replay. Oh my gosh, what did we just witness from King? Does he go back to back? There is no way. This man is on fire. I dare anybody on that stage to try to step in his path now, because he's looking like an avalanche trying to demolish anything in his way.
Look at the loadout, the double suppressed sniper rifle. He's even got the sniper surplus augment to boot, and he is making fantastic work of it. But Strokey and Kylie, I am so sorry, but King, actually, that's his turf.
You back a dog into a corner. This is exactly what is going to happen. They realize the pressure that they're under. They realize what's at stake. Even though they do have tomorrow, if they fall short, that's not something anybody wants to stress about. You finish the job here. You get it done. You give yourself a break, a chance to relax and VOD review. Blaha, Mixon, another one of our teams that we've seen do great things throughout the year. 157 above the damage threshold, even though that might not seem like a lot, but from what we've seen like from the lobby, there's a lot of teams that are around those similar numbers. But luckily for everybody, it turns off for now. Even though it wasn't a far rotation with the bounce pad junior, it's just step by step. That's the way a lot of teams got to take it, just one foot in front of the other.
And for Blaha and Mixon, it's certainly one tarp in front of the other as they keep trying to make their way forward. Look at Cammy and Seti, though, all the way at the very top of Eclipse's state. And this is some primo real estate if you are Cammy and Seti. But it does seem as though they're going to have to disembark from this little throne that they've established for the time being, but not without laying some suppressive fire to everyone below them first.
Yeah, and leaderboard, kind of see the top side of what's going on. But 19th, 20, 21st place, down. 24th place, down. 26th place, even down. So if you're outside of that bubble for now, this is your chance to shine. This is your chance to pick up those points. And you kind of saw it at the start of the day with Queasy and Vino. 90-plus points for that Victory Royale combined with 7 eliminations, so anything is definitely possible. And that's why Bugha and Threats are putting themselves to the test now. They have 4 eliminations and barely any placement points just left. There's 24th place and 24 teams still left alive, so there's still so many possible points up for grabs.
But the best part is, Threats and Bugha, they're at least still together as we enter this late game, which is something we have not really had a chance to see from this duo all day today. It's been repetitive as far as solo clutch circumstances are concerned. They just haven't really been able to bring anything to fruition because of that. Pink and Vico, though, under a lot of pressure here from Malabuka and Thomas. So many other teams surrounding them. Sometimes it can be really difficult to tell just which direction your builds are actually getting targeted from.
They survived the off-spawn battle between Acorn and Cold. This is their chance to shine, even though they don't have much to work with. We've seen them do amazing things before. Vico, one of the more aggressively skilled players, and forget on top of the world when it comes to Fortnite. They're going astronomical, building off of the moon towards Relentless Retreat, trying to hold on to their high ground. They have the rocket ram for backup as well. So if anybody looks up, tries to chop them down, they do have a plan B. Pink getting a couple more eliminations. Thomas, Malabuka, bypassing everybody else. They're trying to stay to the front side of the zone, looking back only when they have to. They have their eyes set on the prize for now.
But I wonder if anybody realizes just how far up Cammy and Seti are. Vico, he needed a refresh instead. He'll find himself waiting for game number 5 to begin. As Seti, Cammy, we see Seti up so right now with the rocket rev. Who he comes crashing down on is another story to be decided, because Yamzo and Rise, they're under fire right now. Yamzo's gonna drop all the way to the water. Realizes, tries to escape, but not able to. Mixon and Blaha instead, the only ones seemingly able to continue pressing forward in this mid-low ground layer.
4 solos running around this lobby full of duos. Queasy and Vino again. These guys are impressive, consistently finding a way to go for that high ground. Just a test here, just like in the first game, they're looking to hold on to it, get that Victory Royale. Another elimination being found by Malabuka. Their total as a team does move up to 5. 12 teams remain. These are the points that they were looking for. They started this game in 23rd place. This game alone, if they come out on top, could qualify them to Championship Sunday, but the fight continues. Cold and Acorn just trying to tear everybody down, even if that means it's their NA counterpart as Pars and Baka fall.
If there's one thing that Cold loves to do, it's play disruptor. on the low ground layers. Because now Seti, Cammy, they're actually going to be able to retake height because Queasy and Veno, they're no longer here. At some point, they winded up falling. Queasy himself potentially eliminated from this match. We're seeing everyone below, Cammy and Seti, just doing what they can to stay alive. But Thomas and Malabuka, they have been on a rampage in these lower layers.
Yep. Cammy gets another one onto Muzz, finding him as a solo. Another player is going to drop. Sphinx and Poyo, who absolutely came out of nowhere on the NA region to claim their spot here in Major 2, but they don't want just the spot. They want to take over. Thomas finds another elimination, taking down Seti. Now the high ground has changed, and they're trying to keep it for themselves. Acorn gets sniped out of the air with the Sharp Tooth, and now we're into our final 4 teams left alive, but 2 of them are solos. One of them is Cammy. He's trying to do what he can to try to bypass with that men miss, falling down low to the low ground. He goes down. A 2v2 situation. Sphinx and Poyo drop them into the palm of their hands, but a nice shot's going to be traded off. But a down onto Thomas, and they take the game. NA on top, thanks to Poyo and Sphinx.
What a massive comeback, though, from Poyo and Sphinx. I mean, 12 eliminations. Given that they were in such a dire position heading into this match, that is a massive point swing here, Jacob. That might just be enough to even make them surface in our top 25.
And they might have snatched away the single game elimination record, but I'm gonna let Frankie talk about that because there she is on stage with our winners.
Yeah, I just had to come in and ask everything you were saying in that final zone because your mouth was going off. How were the comms?
I don't know. Poyo just doesn't really talk. Kind of just, gets kills, does his thing, and I'm just, there for the ride,
And do you just are happy to let him off the leash like that?
I mean, if he gets the kills, I got no problem with it.
And Poyo, are your ears burning now?
Yeah.
Yeah, he is a man of few words. He is a man of few words. He was so what, sorry?
It was so loud.
He was incredibly loud. To be honest, I felt like I could hear him backstage. So for you, how has the day been so far? Now you've got your victory royale as well.
Yeah, it's been 2-1 off spawn. I think we're at the bottom of the leaderboard, but I think we'll be near qual range now.
Hopefully. We will take a look at the leaderboard shortly. I love this. You're a man of so many words. I can hear him in the background going 2-1, 2-1. Is there anything you'd like to say to people watching right now and supporting you?
It's really laggy. It's really laggy. I mean, these servers are atrocious, but, we're making it work.
Well, you know what? Everyone is in the same boat, and it's fantastic to see you guys doing so well. As you say, 2